entertainment news today. You're such a dragon gay. Everything sucks and it's no good. That comes out of Hollywood. But there's one place you can go to get all your news and info, and maybe even have a laugh or two. You know it's true. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark. All those bombs and flops, but MEAD never stops. We will keep going through the night as we keep up the culture fight. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark.
Greetings and welcome everybody to Midnight's Edge After Dark, your favorite show on YouTube, whether you like it or not. That's right, I'm Tom Connors. We have all 32 flavors of Nick Weiser, and we have CC Karaoke and Mark D with a C, and who knows who, and Six. I was just waiting to say who else will join us tonight, but there's your answer, folks. So how are you doing, Six?
Six, I think, put in the
Six
private.
said, don't add me.
I didn't add her.
Oh, okay.
She added herself.
All right.
Wow. It defaulted. So go to Mark, I guess.
I like to put it in the private.
Well, we know.
The show usually start at 5 after.
Yeah,
Usually,
we decided to
but
come
Tom
early.
felt like coming early. So
That tracks.
Premature ejaculation tonight.
I'm doing great. I'm doing
Got
great.
excited. For
you
We can all
probably
leave and come
embarrassed
back
knowing
in
that
3
he
minutes.
came early. That's probably what improved the mood.
Yeah.
Definitely. So welcome, Six. How you doing? You said great, I think.
Yep. Doing great.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. Nick Weiser, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I had an outstanding show with Mr. Mark Miller earlier today on Klobby's Comic Shop, the Thursday special edition. It was outstanding. We even talked about comic book cologne. So we went to places I never thought we went, but it was amazing. So
Wait, there's cologne that smells like old musty comic books? Or
we're telling you how like old comic books have like that specific comic smell. It's something you'd have to know. Mark would know. Mark
ink,
knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, we need a cologne for that. And then we were talking about what that would smell like. Yeah, it was a very special conversation. The fact that he was in on it made it even better.
well,
It was
you
like
know,
Mark was one of us.
I think comic book stores smell like Cheetos and BL.
it'll be called Pulp by Fabergé.
Might be aphrodisiac.
But yeah, happy to be here. And yeah, it was a great show. I felt like I came off a life highlight doing that.
Very good. Glad to hear it. We also have a CC coming in from Canada. How you doing up there?
Doing all right. Feel like maybe I should step up my camera game with everybody coming out of the closet lately.
Yeah, you're not somebody who's been unrevealed. You've already been on camera, so it's not like it's a
Yeah, I guess.
big deal. I'm not going to be on all night. I'm just for the intro. Christ. Throwing shit everywhere.
it's tough to get out of that spacesuit, right?
It takes a
Ground
long time.
control to
Yeah.
Major Tom.
Tom, you can stay on camera.
Ground control to Major Tom. Anyway, I might. I don't think so. That's my thing. Anyway, how you doing, Mark D with a C?
Yeah,
Not
very
CC
good.
karaoke, but Mark D with a CC.
I wouldn't change my name again. Yeah. I'm doing good because these are on sale on the Amazon Prime Day, so I got Some Micronauts. Yep. Of course, they pack them like
Does
shit.
anybody remember those?
No one remembers them except me, but Baron Karza and Biotron. But they used to be like Biotron was like a foot tall and Karza, but they Reaction came out with these. They're like small.
So like those were predated like GoBots and Transformers, right? Or were they after?
Oh God, yeah. Well, yes. Early, it was Microman and from Japan, and then they adopted the line, but to Micronauts is like the American version, but yeah, really cool packaging, and yeah, they look they look good. Yeah, so I have a ton of these Micronauts toys everywhere. So I got
Mark went shopping.
Yeah, I went shopping. Yeah, and I got the package before my wife got home, so that was even better. Yep.
The best part is now you showed it on the yeah.
No,
if she sees a show, you're fucked. But you could try to write them off on your taxes if you talk about them on Sunday night.
That's true. Yeah.
Tell the like every time you buy this crap, just be like, as long as I talk about it on the show, like this fancy dancy Nightmare on Elm Street box set.
Yeah, just you say, honey, I'm just a boy showing my toys.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So that's a write-off, right?
Right.
Exactly. Or at least Mike will know. Mike.
Yeah. Check with your accountant. Yeah, like here's another old Micronauts toy I have.
Oh man, yeah, that's bringing back some memories.
This is a good one. This is a Space Explorer Lab. Yeah. So I could actually hang this from the ceiling. Oh. The cool thing about the Micronauts is, they were all interchangeable. So it's an incredible interchangeable world of the Micronauts. So all the pieces came off and you could make all these cool vehicles. So this was the Space Explorer Lab. But yeah, it was a lot of fun as a kid to play with these. So yeah, all these moving parts and yeah, like you could take, this part will pop out and I'm not going to break it. It's 50 years old, but here we go.
Yeah,
so like this part would slide out. You could put it on another vehicle. So that was the idea. It was like all interchangeable parts. Yep. So a lot of fun.
So they were ahead of the game when it come to interchangeable parts and all that business.
Oh yeah.
You take a penis and turn into a vagina. And
the only problem is that they're really freaking expensive now because they didn't sell that well. So in anything this old, I mean, the Micronauts are really.
Well, I don't remember them being like a flop or anything. I think the bigger problem is probably finding ones that are complete. Would be my guess.
Yeah, missing
because
pieces.
Yeah, they're missing. Got to be missing pieces. Exactly.
Yep. And Star Wars is more. I collected Micronauts instead of Star Wars. Yeah, so it's like you try to find. It sold well, but it was like it's not something that's easy to find. So, but yeah, it's a nice.
Well, a lot of times that's why
collect.
The bigger play sets are always harder to get complete because of that, because people lose all the pieces when they're kids.
Yeah, and you're playing with the stuff as a kid. It's not like I always joke like, Mom, if we just gone back in time to 1978, like let's invest in this whole wall of the toy store. Just buy every Star Wars toy here. You know how much money it'd be worth now, of course. But yeah, it's like, who knew like what stock is going to go up or, and we just, as kids, we just loved that stuff and just played with them. And
Mom, buy all the Dune toys. Trust me, it's going to put me through college.
Too good.
Yep. So it's a fun memory. Yep.
You're a fun memory.
That's right. So let's see what we got here. We got, speaking of memories, we remember our friend every night. Clobbering Times, as does FKHC 2005. Thank you for the love. We appreciate that, as always. And then we got him becoming a member. I think he just upgraded. Let me look here.
So he has a bigger member or a smaller member?
Oh, he's a huge member.
Oh, he's a huge member.
Sorry, I'm trying to.
His member got big. Then his member got bigger. Then
I can't get to the damn. For some reason, where's my? Oh, here it is. I was on the wrong account. That's why. Couldn't find the damn stream. Okay, it looks like he has become. Where is it?
He became maximum effort puppy.
All right, maximum effort puppy. That's all I needed to know. Thank you. Thank you, Six, who's on top of shit.
Well, I have 3 different ways to mute the stream, apparently.
Awesome. There you go. It's a maximum effort puppy. Look at him go.
The dog.
That's so cute.
Yeah. If my oldest saw that right now, she'd lose her mind.
So cute.
Thank you, FKHC 2000. And then we got Soul Nightmare. It says the guy that wrote the article that article doesn't work for Forbes. says nothing substantial, and in the end admits he doesn't know if it made money or not. We're going to get into that very shortly, in fact. So keep that thought. And then I Cthulhu says, Tom, I'm still waiting, to dress you down for dissing Naked Gun 2.5 membership stream when I am not at work. The Barbara Bush slapstick was genius. You know, honestly, I Cthulhu, I never made it all the way through the movie. I just couldn't. I don't know. I'll try.
It's
to
short
give it another
too,
shot.
Tom. That's a short movie.
Something about the first 10, 15 minutes is so difficult to get through.
See, I didn't last through the first 20.
Maybe that's where about I got. Yeah, I don't know. I'll try it again because
I never laughed once, and I wanted to so badly.
It felt like a straight-to-video sequel. That was the other problem I had with it. It felt like the late Police Academy sequels. It's like we're already jumping to this point. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't rewatched it in years. I tried again not too long ago, and I just couldn't get through it. But I will try it again. But on that note, I'm curious how many people tried Superman again, because that's the big talk of the town right now. Because Forbes put out an article claiming that Superman cost Warner Brothers somewhere in the vicinity of $42 million. And that Park Place, via Marvin, put in a wonderful breakdown of this situation as far as I'm concerned. And doesn't really answer any more questions than Forbes presents, but it also does break it down in a little bit more believable way, because they get into the tax incentives that I don't think Forbes really got into. And the other thing that Forbes never got into was I don't think they're even factoring in POV sales, merchandise sales for another thing, tie-ins and other things that people did give credit to Man of Steel that they never have for Superman, for instance, because we don't even know yet how much they made from, like, even that, for instance, the bone, milk bone. They could have made $50 million just off of that to product placement alone. We have no fucking idea.
Okay, I'm retarded, but what's milk bone?
The milk bones, you know.
I'm not joking.
The dog food.
The dog
scene where the
stuff.
dog
Yeah, remember
crashes
the
into
scene?
the
They had straight up
crypto.
milk bone boxes with crypto on them, right?
Oh, yeah.
And in the movie, when he breaks into the dog store or the pet store, he eats an entire display of milk bones.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ironic because Mark will know this. Famously, Superman 2 especially had a ton of product placements.
Yeah,
And the
big
biggest one of all was Marlboro cigarettes. Exactly.
They got
Yeah,
big trouble for that.
Because Superman got threw into the Marlboro truck, and they made sure that Marlboro sign was up. And I think at that time they got, like $2 or $3 million for that. But you do that with inflation. That's my point, right? Like,
And there was no Marlboro truck at the time. They would never paint a truck with that, because it was a target to get stolen, right? Look, this is a truckload of expensive
Marlboro
cigarettes.
Exactly. No, they would never have a Marlboro truck like that then. But yeah, so like I think Park Place figured it out somewhere, not even counting a couple of the things that I brought up. They do count in the tax incentives as a positive for them. And I think they broke it down to more like 10 or 11 million or something like that. I think it comes up to here, which to me is like they cleared that easily in probably products alone. I mean, I'm not even talking about product placement. I'm talking about just selling toys, right? So they're not taking in any of these other factors, it looks like here. Now, again, I'm not going to say that the movie was a huge profit for Warner Brothers. I'm sure they wanted it to do a hell of a lot better than it did. The upside is that a large portion of its box office, comparative to a lot of other films that are out nowadays, is mostly domestic as opposed to foreign sales. So that's usually the bigger difference as far as I'm concerned.
It's like a chicken. Did you
I
hear
thought it
that?
sounded like an asthma attack.
Oh,
it was a chair moving. Was that a chair moving?
Oh, I thought it was
I
like a
think so.
chicken
I don't
going
know.
off.
But anyhow,
Tom, sorry.
No, I'm just curious. So you guys think that this report is real? Do you kind of believe it? Where are you guys coming from? Because, I'm always accused of being biased on the film. I've just always looked at it like I do a lot of other films, where I even brought up, like, what was the one, there was a couple that come out more recently where I've been the first one to point out, yeah, it didn't have to do so great in the box office because it's already been pre-sold to, Netflix or Amazon or whoever. So it doesn't fucking matter, right? Now this doesn't have that going for it. It's Warner Brothers selling it to themselves on HBO Max, much like Disney does when they sell their movies. But notice they didn't give Warner Brothers credit for that, but they always give Disney credit for that. So I'm curious what other people think about this. Now, Six, I'm kind of glad you're here because you and I actually had a similar conversation about this in private not too long ago because you were also curious about how you felt like, or how I felt this movie was not as a big of a failure as other people were trying to present it to be, for instance, and some other things you had questions. So let's start with you. What's your point? Do you believe this? What is your feeling on this whole Superman box office business that's out there right now?
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I'm here too. So I didn't read the Park Place article, but I read the Forbes article. And I didn't really see them differentiating between the domestic and the international. And the conversation that Tom is referring to is that I never thought about or even really heard anybody in our sphere talking about the fact that movie studios take home a different amount when a movie is released internationally. Totally makes sense. It's just not something that was ever really in the forefront of conversations that I heard. And so I thought that when Tom was banging that drum, that completely made sense. And I hope that that's something that continues. Now, in this Forbes article, like I said, they don't really differentiate between the two differences in take homes or take back to the studios. They say, and this is a quote from the Forbes article, given that films generally split their ticket sales 50-50 with theater owners, this means that Superman's theatrical net equates to nearly 308 million. So is that international or domestic? I just thought that was interesting that they are not even addressing that in their article. So, I mean, basically, I believe it. When there's numbers that have a credible source, I err on the side of believing it.
Yeah.
And they're getting numbers from the numbers.com. So
yeah,
I tend to believe it.
All right. So, Nick, where do you fall into this? What do you think is the reality of it all?
Well, last I checked, so when we're just talking just solely based off the theatrical release of this movie, could it still make more money through merch and VOD, all that stuff? Maybe, sure, great, whatever. So 615 million divided by 700 million, you're talking it made around 88% of its budget back. I wouldn't call that a flop, but you could probably say it's an underperformer. I'm assuming that it actually is 700 million. I would say it's an underperformer because that's still the majority of your money back. I don't think there was any reality. Let's just say this movie had more acclaim and maybe less division, more fan goodwill. I don't think it would have done that much better, even if that were the case. Let's be real here. This movie had legs in the United States, and it didn't really have a chance to begin with in the overseas market. Maybe you have done 20, 30 million better. This is just the Batman Begins syndrome that this movie was always going to be going up against, coming at a time where these movies are not considered the hot thing. It was always going to have an uphill battle, even if it was better received. And yeah, I don't think it would have done that much better. I think it would have done slightly better versus MLS, which was coming out at a time during the hot phase of Marvel movies, DC movies. And yeah, also, if you look at it, when you adjust for inflation, yes, it opened up to a much higher number adjusted for inflation. But also, if you look, its drops were also dramatically bigger than Superman 2025 as well. And well, just because a movie has a higher gross isn't always reflective of being better received. Just look at Spider-Man 3 for reference. So maybe there's merit to this, maybe there's not. Regardless, all I know is what I see, and what I see is a movie that is underperformed. Now, if you had said this movie was budgeted at $1 billion, and then it made 615 million, then yeah, I probably would say that, because that's like the equivalent of getting like a 60 out of 100 on a paper in class. That's like getting a D-. I would say, yeah, at that point, yeah, you probably consider a flop, but we're talking 87, 88% of its money coming back. That's close to the finish line, just kind of coming up short. But that's where I'm at with this.
Well, I mean, if you want to compare it to something more like Fantastic Four, I'm sure it will fare a lot better in the end, especially when you factor in all the merchandise in comparison, because what kids were buying Fantastic Four crap? And I saw AMC already had a bunch of Fantastic Four crap sitting right next to Thunderbolt stuff that didn't sell on clearance one of the last times I was in there. So, again, I mean, I agree with you guys. Like, isn't this the huge win? I think that's a good assessment. It's more like getting a D on a test. Yes, you passed, but you could have done much better.
Well, see, if you look at when I mentioned by the 615 divided by 700, that's a 788%. That's a B if you think about it by that logic. The graded
True.
papers, that's a B by that logic. And
But I think in the
that's
fact
why I
that
brought in that's why I factored in the 615 divided by a billion, because when you look at it like that, then it's basically a
Right.
D.
I mean, I guess the way I see it though with this is you have to hit over that profit margin theatrically for me to consider where you're at with like it to be considered a C or a D or an A, right? Like, because yeah, I could sit here and I will concede that theatrically the movie didn't make a profit, but with all the other factors in when it comes to PVOD and video sales and probable product placement and all that other kind of business, I'll be sitting there going, yeah, the movie did eke by and is probably in the black and did okay. But at the that's just it. Is it going to be enough for them to continue to want to keep doing this? We already know they're going to so far, but is it going to be, that much more profitable than anything else they have? The beauty is they have other things helping them out with this stuff. Because if it wasn't for other movies that were doing well, then I think Warner Brothers would be a little bit more worried about it.
Yeah. You gotta remember too, this movie had like its drops were small second, third weekend. And usually that's a sign that this movie seems to have its fans versus MLS, which had its bigger weekend, but it also had a much greater drop as well. That did not have legs. And once again, Spider-Man 3, same thing, opened bigger as well, and yeah, it had a more dramatic drop. So
it's still the most profitable, or they made the most money of all of those first three Spider-Man movies.
Regardless of where that's true too. Yeah, Spider-Man 3 had the highest gross and probably made the most money, yet it's considered the worst one. So
yeah,
it's one of those things where people should not use a movie making more money, whether it's by gross or profitability, as the indicator of what's the best received, because when you start factoring those things, well, then arguments like that start to crumble really fast.
Well, and you brought up Batman Begins, and I thought that's a good example too, because we'll see how the sequel does. Because The Dark Knight was was a reaction to how good Batman Begins was.
Yes,
and the hype
Batman
building
Begins
up for Dark Knight,
didn't do all that well. People don't remember. Like, it did fine, but it wasn't like a smash runaway hit. It did fine. I think it was considered a underperformance at the box office. Now, granted, they have the age of physical media to basically probably maybe push them over the hill. Maybe. I never looked into the numbers.
That's what made The Dark Knight a hit, I guarantee you, because because I worked at Movie Gallery, I think at the time that came out, or one of the mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
I can't remember which exactly, but when it did, like, a lot of people were still confused. They thought it was a prequel to the Michael Keaton film.
Oh, wow.
And I had to let them know that, no, this is a completely new thing. And again, I don't think people have that problem so much with Superman, but I agree with you. We'll have to see how Man of Tomorrow and Supergirl fare. If they do better than not, or they do less than better, then we'll kind of see how people are reacting to this. Because the thing I see here is yes, there's some people in our sphere who didn't like the film, quite a few people who didn't. But on the outside, I'm seeing a lot of other people who don't have the same feelings we do about it. And I've been told, through people that I talk to, from the Warner side of things, that have flat out said that, like, yeah, there's a big reaction from the younger audience for this movie that people aren't discussing in the press too much. So, like, that's part of the reason, I guess, that James Gunn is all over everything, because he has a huge social media presence, and the bigger part of this audience is that under 25 demographic.
I wanted to ask everybody, I wanted to start with Nick, just real quick. Do you think that the marketing, how do you think that the marketing played into the ticket sales? Because I feel like there was Superman marketing everywhere. I saw it all over the place, and not just because I hang out with YouTube people.
Yeah,
it seemed to have such a wide, they cast such a wide net. And Nick, starting with you, I'm just wondering, what do you think about how the marketing played into this?
Well, I'm happy. Yeah. So I obviously, having children, there's a lot of shopping that goes on, especially two girls. I did see a lot of stuff in promotion for Superman. And also, I'm probably one of the only genuine geekier types at my job that's got about 100, 150 workers. And there was actually a decent amount of conversation on Superman. Now, from the older side of workers, it was, oh, great, another Superman movie. But what was the bigger takeaway was the amount of younger people at my employer seeing it and actually liking it. That was where it got interesting. What was that part was a lot of the younger workers seeing it and liking it. For them, that could be, I guess you could say, it could be their Superman, because that's them coming in a time of impressionability. So this is like their Superman to them, maybe. But a lot of the younger folks at my job who are a lot more normie, they really enjoyed this movie. So once again, that's just judging by what I see in a town in Illinois.
That's kind
right
of what I was
outside
getting
Chicago.
at too. Yeah.
But yeah, for amongst older people, it seemed older people, what I mean by older, I'm talking, let's just say above 35 and above, reactions just to it coming out were very stigmatized. Not towards the movie looks bad, but more towards, oh, great, another Superman movie. So I think what's going to be the ultimate indicator of how well this movie truly did, we won't know, is until Man of Tomorrow comes out and has a better second weekend. If it can have a second weekend that eclipses Superman 2025, I think it's then safe to say that it paid off officially. Now, obviously, Man of Tomorrow still needs to have legs the way this one did, but that to me is a sign that, hey, this franchise is sticking. There's something going here. If it, let's just say, matches it, or even, oh boy, consider the possibility that it opens lower, well, I think the DCU is officially not going to be a thing, and James Gunn might as well just hang it up.
Well, I think also that Hollywood's underperforming too. So I found a chart, if I could show it, Tom, on the global box office performance.
Obviously, absolutely, you're great with charts.
Yeah, I love charts.
While you're dragging that up here, I just want to answer Tom H's question. How is the POV sales split? Well, POV is the video on demand, like when you buy it on like Vudu or Fandango, whatever the fuck it's called now that I bitched about last week, and Amazon and Apple, all that stuff. My understanding is they get a huge portion of those sales, and that's part of their strategy and reasoning for pushing these movies to streaming so quickly, is that they make somewhere in like the vicinity of 75% or more of that sale. Like those guys that are like Fandango or Apple or whatever, they probably only keep anywhere from $2 to $3, maybe $5 tops off of each one of those sales, and the rest goes right into Warner Brothers' pocket. So they're making a hell of a lot more off of those sales, technically in some ways, than they would be off of theatrical box office sales, even if a family of 3 or 4 goes to see it, right? So that being said, yeah, that if that answers your question, Tom, they get a huge portion of that. But here's Mark's charts to kind of, I guess, respond to Six's question and some of the other things that we were asking here, probably, and then we'll get to CC's reaction overall.
Yeah, so I think that just movies in general have been underperformed, right? I mean, they're at a high note. You've got Marvel, MCU, flying on all cylinders up until 2019. Then the vid hits, of course, you've got to discount that, but they've never fully rebounded. So in China, we're not really getting a big bounce from China. Everyone was seeking out the Chinese market, and you can see how big it is in the orange there, almost 10 billion before the vid. And now, I mean, the total, box office is $30 billion when it was doing 40 billion. So,
well,
and within that's
just the lack of movies people want to see. I don't think it has anything to do with the habit. I think people are using it as a cope. I think it's
I agree. Yeah, I'm just saying that the product's not there. So you had the MCU. Everyone wanted to go. The normies wanted to go see. My wife wanted to go see the Avengers stuff. So and she did want to see the new Superman movie, and she liked it. We went on a double date with our friends and went out to dinner and got to see Superman, and they liked it. But you're not getting that what everyone talking about it. Like Superman, I thought was a good movie, but you didn't get that amazing water cooler talk, or everyone was talking about like when Marvel was doing so well. Like everyone wanted to see those movies. It was like a massive party on opening night. The theater was packed, people going nuts for all those movies. And Superman was okay, but not, people weren't going crazy, or oh my god, I can't miss Superman. And I think it did okay, but overall just the box office is just down. And it's like you said, Nick, it's I think it's more product, and also people's viewing habits have changed too with streaming at home, and they killed the DVD sales. I mean, it's a niche collector
yeah.
market, right?
They did that
So
themselves. Like they
yeah,
could have
Yeah.
avoided that because it's not that there are people don't want to see movies. I truly not just believe, I know people want to see movies, but when you one, there's a lot of things that they don't want to see on top of the endless remakes and sequels, requels, whatever. And then you throw in the fact that you put these movies on streaming so soon. That is definitely a pattern I've caught on to that normies have noticed as well. And when normies pay attention, like get a wind of that type of stuff, yeah, they're gonna adjust quickly. They're gonna really adjust unless it's something really, really that they're attached to. Let's just say, like,
Mhm.
you might have some girls who will be like, okay, I gotta see Wicked. Let's get the girl gang together and go see Wicked for good, whatever. You're
K-pop
gonna
demon
have the
hunters.
exception, yeah, okay, top demon hunters. Like, I know my daughters is both my daughters, younger and older. They like that movie, and a lot of their friends love that movie. A lot of them younger
Mhm.
kids wanted to go to the theater see it, even though they saw it on Netflix. That
Right?
just
Have
goes to show you
wasn't
they
Taylor
want to.
Swift?
They'll go to the theater. They will go.
Taylor Swift was #1 last week. Where was that? $35 million.
Yeah.
But it was
I don't-
also a big drop from the previous Taylor Swift. I think a lot of people left
Yeah, and
out
I don't
that
know what's going
detail.
on there with the foreign sale thing now too. But maybe the guest in the background will have an answer for that. But we'll get to him in just a moment. I'm gonna make him suffer for about a minute or two while CC gets his chance to speak on this a little bit too. First, before we bring him in here. So CC,
Sure.
what's your feelings on this? Do you believe all this? Do you think it's a bunch of
well-
Trump or not Trump, but Zaslow derangement syndrome or what?
No, I just there's a couple things. I mean, like you can plaster Superman on every single bus stop in every single city, and people will see it and think, oh, hey, there's a Superman movie coming. That you can get that into the public consciousness for a start. That's fine. You can probably make up the $42 million. I don't know that merchandise sales in this case. I don't know that the needle was moved that far because the movie came out. Superman's pretty, it's already, pretty universal. People are going to buy Superman merchandise by default. Did this movie really, increase those sales that much? I don't know. But I mean, if we're talking, did this movie get past the 0 point at which it was not a money loser? I mean, yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable to say, unless we're getting into the weeds of brand recognition in terms of whether people are positive or negative about the brand. Did it help or hurt Superman? I mean, as much as I didn't love the movie, I don't know that I would sit here and say I think that this movie hurt Superman. It's just that I don't know, as a launching pad for the DCU, as something that that this movie's gonna cause future movies in the DC universe, whether they're connected to this movie or not, whether they're going to build on the excitement and the ticket sales for future movies is something I would seriously doubt. Now, that being said, Gunn is all big on how he loves his casting of Millie Alcock for Supergirl, and I gotta be honest, you know what? I think that's a pretty good casting. Just speaking as a guy, she has a wonder. She has an absolute winner of a name and a figure. And depending on you still need a good movie, but you know what? I think you might sell a few tickets for that. Well, is that going to sell $1 billion worth of tickets? I don't know, but I mean, I've seen some people suggest that Supergirl's going to do like 200 million at the box office. I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm still not convinced that they're actually building their overall brand value yet. I don't know that Peacemaker is the solution to that either. I'm glad that it's people are enjoying it. I loved the first season. I haven't seen the second, so I can't speak to that. But
fair enough.
Yeah, that's.
Oh,
I would say it's nice. It's not a profit. It's not a not profit. I don't know that it's doing anything to profit the next item. That's all.
Well, it's
All
the
right.
#3 domestic movie. I'm looking at Box Office Mojo. So, I mean, I hope they made money if it's the #3 movie,
I don't
right?
know. But
Yeah.
somebody who
I mean-
might know a thing or two about this, who handles a lot of balls when it comes to box office. Mr. Culture Casino, how's your ball handling today?
Oh, showgirl!
I got to tell you, yeah, I'm a very popular showgirl. I will tell you this, that I don't see how this film made money. And I'm not taking a shot at it at the same time. As Tom knows, I thought the film was not terrible. A lot of people definitely didn't give it enough credit for what it was. And
It was in focus.
Go ahead.
It was in focus.
Oh, it was definitely in focus, but it had more to it than that. I mean, once you've seen it, you're not really taken out of the fact that this actor can play Superman, because that was one of the big objections early on. Obviously, what's her name can play Miss Maisel can play Lois Lane, which that worked out as well. But the problem I suffer with is the idea that it didn't have broad appeal. One of the reasons why films like Wonder Woman, if you think back to when that was in the DC universe, which was 2017, that film did really well. In today's money, that would have made over $1 billion because it finished out its run at $822 million. Even the first Suicide Squad film, 2016 Suicide Squad. So I guess that was the second one. That one, $750 million worldwide.
Okay, and I'm not saying you're wrong, Culture, but allow me to push back just a little bit and
Sure.
ask, how much of that money are you talking about was made overseas compared to domestic, compared to Superman, where like a good 75% of its box office was domestic?
Well, no, actually, you're right. The domestic earnings were $354 million, so right in the what would be actually Wonder Woman would still beat it and a few others, but the international box office was concerning, and this is what I mean by broad appeal.
But my point is
okay.
that those films that you brought up as comparison, outside of maybe Wonder Woman that you just brought up, like as you said, it did beat it domestically, but how much though is my question.
Well, Wonder Woman did 412 domestic, 411 international, almost split, so 823 worldwide.
See, and that's the thing I was kind of getting at here is you had all these movies that had the foreign market holding them up. So my point is the domestic market did show up for Superman. It's the rest of the world that didn't show up so much.
Right.
And that's where the film got hurt. But at the end of the day, my point is that domestically, the box office wise, they keep more of that money than they do foreign. A lot of it's Fugazi, and we have no idea how much they're getting. It's because in some areas they just get a flat fee, right? That's another thing that most people don't.
Well, it's a bot, a bot market, yeah. And again, I mean, we can definitely get in the weeds, and we don't want to talk about marketing expenses and everything else that comes.
Because I'm not even saying that the movie wasn't profitable, but I think at the end of the day, I think it hit the black with PVOD, merchandising sales, and probably whatever product placement. That was the point I made in the front end of the show before you got here.
Oh, sure.
That's where it probably did okay. And then add in that Warner Brothers didn't need it to be so profitable because of all the other hits they had this year.
Well, and I think too many people got caught up in how much the budget was when it was published, which means, and I always try to explain this, when you get a published budget, that's not how much the film cost. That's what they estimated they were going to spend before they shot frame one of the film. So when you actually come down to what the actual spend is, Superman actual spend was about $350 million, and that's not including marketing. So, it absolutely had to make, $700 million to break even if they spent no money on marketing. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, it all kind of breaks down. So I look at that and I'm like, this movie didn't make money, but it's a good start. And Nick was 1,000% right a couple minutes ago, because I was listening to you guys in the car when he said that this is a good start, right? We'll have to see after, what did you say, week 2 of the next film to get a real good gauge for where they are.
Tomorrow will be the true gauge, because I said earlier, if the movie has a better opening than this one, that's okay. Maybe there's something here because that's the number going up. There's more paying tickets. Great. Now, if it holds come second weekend, then you truly know you have something.
Yeah, and look, I look at it that way too. But what I hope is that it doesn't do well because it's not a good story, and Tom King's involvement in it is going to really wreck it.
Oh,
And
Supergirl, or you
yeah.
talking Man of Tomorrow? 'Cause
No,
I
I'm
was
talking about
I was talking
Supergirl.
Man of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, because it's Woman of Tomorrow that comes up first.
Oh, yeah.
So
that one
so
comes up
with
first.
following
Then how do you
along
co-
with, go ahead.
Sorry, go on. Sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
please.
No, finish your point.
Oh no, all I was gonna say is, well, following in the footsteps of a very terrible storyline for the Alcock film, and again, I understand the appeal, CC, I get it. Dudes are all about the Alcock, I got it. But when you look at when you look at what they named the next Superman movie, now we have a team up with Lex Luthor. I don't know if most people know what the storyline is, but if they're going to go that pathway, and again, Tom King's involvement is in this, we're doomed.
That's why Man of Tomorrow needs to be a strong movie, because I truly believe Supergirl is dead on arrival.
Oh, it's DOA. Yeah,
I truly believe that. I'm willing to have my mind change, but I truly believe Supergirl is DOA. Man of Tomorrow may have a shot. Emphasis on the word may, but Supergirl, it's history. I mean, just kiss it goodbye.
I don't know. That name markets itself, Alcock.
You've got a one-track mind.
Oh my!
I mean, hey, I get. You got the dong on the mind, but you got a lady to be thinking about, man. Don't let her know you're thinking about Alcock.
I'm joking, but seriously, I would be surprised if it did better than Superman at the box office. But I mean, I've heard some people saying, "Oh, it's going to do like 200 million." That would also surprise me,
I just look for a starter movie of a new franchise, a new franchise beginning. You have to hit a home run. You have to actually make money and show promise, in my opinion. I mean, you guys don't have to agree with me. I just don't see it having made money.
If it was the same regime as before, I would agree with your point more, but we're at a different place, a different time. I mean, that's what Mark's chart was kind of showing, was that, and that's what Gunn has said and others have said too, now finally admitting that the superhero craze is over and we're moving on from that, and that the days of the $1 billion superhero movie are over.
Yeah.
But my question was going to be how do you compare this to something like F1 then? Because in my opinion, F1 isn't profitable either then, if you're going by these standards. Because F1 was very loaded in the foreign market, not in the domestic. And they spent $200 million on the rights to that?
Look, I'm not going to argue with you at all. I think you're,
but to
100%
everybody
right.
else, that's a hit. That's my point. So I'm going, okay, so where is the line then drawn? Because if this is such a hit and this one isn't, what's the difference? Because at the end of the day, Superman maybe cost 25 more million than what Warner Brothers put out for F1 and all that kind of business. And I mean, sure, they didn't probably do as much advertising. I'll give you that.
See,
but
I've got a really oddball take here, Tom. I don't, as much as I revile everything that is Man of Steel, almost everything, I wouldn't call that movie a bomb either. I would say it just
I never said it was.
Yeah, I know you do. I'm just kind of pointing
and
that
the
out.
thing is that people don't remember is that it was
I
BVS that killed that, not Man of Steel. That's my point. But yeah,
and
sorry.
That's true. It underperformed. It had an outstanding opening weekend, and especially if we adjust it for inflation, it looks really higher because there was initial enthusiasm coming hot off the Nolan trilogy, and Nolan's name was attached to it, even though it was via producer. But still, they were riding that high, and they're kind of in the, is this the start of a new universe, or is this pickup in the Dark Knight universe? They didn't know what they wanted to be, but they knew that they needed the Nolan name attached to it. So the superhero movies were in a much better state than the way they are now.
Okay, so real quick, and because I don't want the F1 conversation to get lost, because everything Nick is saying is making sense, but just quickly to revisit that. The film definitely cost somewhere between $200 and $300 million to make, right? This was made as a cooperative in cooperation with the F1 sport folks, right? Most all of it had a level of sponsorship, just like you would with a regular racing team. Sponsorship offset the cost of the budget of producing the film because they were paying for space on the not real car
Yes, but
and the not real rate. Okay.
you're talking about the people who produced the film. At the end of the day, Apple paid 200 some million for the rights to this, right? Flat out. And then they sold the theatrical and video rights to Warner Brothers for $200 million. Right. So at this point, that movie made well over to the original producers a huge profit.
Yeah.
Now to Warner Brothers, that's my point, is did Warner Brothers make any money off this hit? Because everybody's calling it a hit, but yet they're calling Superman a flop. Yet at the end of the day, if you look at it, I would say Superman is the bigger hit because domestically it outgrossed F1 astronomically, which on the other end of it, you guys are right. F1 did great outside of the US, but that's the only place that it did great because it didn't even get to 200 million inside the US, right? That's my point, is so it only gets to keep less than 50% of that outside the US, as opposed to Superman, which gets to keep 50% of the box office roughly inside the US, making, in my opinion, Superman the bigger winner at the end of the day for Warner Brothers. I'm not talking about the original producers who made out like fucking bandits when it comes to fucking F1. I'm not going to argue that point.
Yes, Superman made 165 more million domestically.
That's my point, right?
And
So,
F1,
like,
the movie, made 189 domestically. So
Yeah. And the reason I'm comparing those two films is because at the end of the day, if you break down their box office, they're very similar-ish. Yes, Superman still made a little bit more.
27 to 615. F1 was about 12 more million dollars. So basically tied. But yeah, that's what's interesting to I didn't know that until Tom had mentioned that how many weeks movies in the movie theater, domestic versus foreign, and what different territories probably have different different values. But overall, Hollywood's down. So if you look at the Lilo and Stitch was number one movie, hit $1 billion, and of course with inflation, ticket prices are expensive. I go to see a movie now. I go to that fancy dancy Dolby theater, and the tickets are like $23 now. And then throw in popcorn and one of those stupid popcorn buckets that I buy. It's an expensive night out. So and people I think are just waiting. Like if you're kind of a normie fan, I know Superman's how soon was Superman out, because they pulled it for Peacemaker. What was it, 40 days or 30? I'm just
less
waiting
than 30. It was like, well, no, you're right. It was like 30. It was 40.
It was pretty.
It wasn't quite the 45-day
short
window. It was between the 36 and 45-day window. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
people, I'll just wait to see it for free, and then unfortunately, people, go on the high seas and find stuff too, which I don't like. We got to support Hollywood, but it's unless it's an event now, and you've lost all these little pictures that that we used to get, these classic movies that were maybe not, or comedies have, almost disappeared, right? Other than, you had The Naked Gun, but you don't have any of these small pictures anymore that were really good or had legs. And, it's just blockbuster after blockbuster, or they go for the Academy Award in December. And it's kind of a sad state.
So let's talk about what the real conversation is with F1, and I'll get out of that because I know I'm taking us off track every time.
No, you're fine.
With a $200 million distribution deal, they made loads of money, Tom. They made loads of money. Warner Brothers didn't have to expend anything other than the acquisition of rights to the picture.
Which is my understanding. They spent $200 million on it. That's my point.
If that's the case, it's quite possible with sponsorships that Bruckheimer, who was the producer of the film, actually is accurate in saying that while it may have cost, if you looked at costs directly, it may have cost them $300 million to make the movie. It didn't cost them that much money to make the movie, because if you are Apple and you're trying to keep Bruckheimer interested in stuff that you're doing or to do things for you, you make sure that his cut's mitigated. So if you look at the three, or at least he's satisfied with what he makes on the picture. So my guess is the sponsorships of this set the entire budget aside, and he actually pulled some money out of there, or he got a piece of the.
I acknowledge that.
Okay.
At the end of the day, Warner Brothers and Apple paid back the producers for this movie. They made profit by far. The people that I'm talking about is Warner Brothers. Okay. Because Warner Brothers, from my understanding, and this was broke down in an article, and this is exactly what I was told. So my source was pretty much accurate on this, is that Apple bought the rights, like you said, from from Bruckheimer and Brad Pitt's, what is it, Plan 9?
Yeah, whatever
Production
that's
company.
called.
Yeah. They bought it from them. They produced the film. They paid to produce the film, like you said. So whatever it costs them at the end of the day, that's where Bruckheimer won't tell you. He won't tell you what the actual film cost, and he's not going to sit there and tell you how much they made back, because guess what? They probably spent fuck all on this movie, like you just said. I agree with you there. They made out like bandits. They walked home with about $300 million worth of profit on this film, probably somewhere at the end of the day, because Apple paid them and Warner Brothers paid them. Yeah. That's my point. Or Warner Brothers paid Apple vicariously.
It was expensive to make with the tech and in the cars.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, watching the making of this movie.
They were gifted the cars, by the way.
Yeah.
That's my point, is at the end of the day, they spent about half of what anybody probably reported.
Yeah,
and that's also what I'm learning about Hollywood math in the recent years, is that whatever they tell you they're spending, they're only spending about half that. They just want to tell you they're spending more, even though it hurts them sometimes in the long run. But I'm not saying Superman cost half of what they're saying either. So,
and I'm going to tell you right now, based on Schedule F for SAG and the other methods for the other unions of how they are supposed to get paid for distribution, sales, things like this, I think Bruckheimer did okay. I'm not worried about him. What I'm saying
neither
is,
am I. That was my point. Was Warner Brothers? Yeah,
yeah. It's the discussion of whether or not Warner Brothers made money, and they definitely did. The problem is, it's when you look at something that's made by Warner Brothers and you know what the costs are and what the budgets are, what the marketing is. You needed $800 million for Superman to be profitable.
And I'm not going to sit there and argue with that point, because I agree with you that they would have been much happier had the movie made well over $700 million and closer to the $1 billion mark.
Yeah.
But we are also there's because Six highlighted this. I don't know what her question is or what she wanted to discuss about it, but this is another thing we brought up earlier, was merchandising, right? On the other side of product placement, you have merchandising. Goddess of Whim said that she saw
the real profit is made.
Well, as Spaceballs points out, and George Lucas points out.
I wish that were true, because the value of these brands for purposes of marketing, who do you believe takes on the risk for producing those materials?
Oh, we brought that up with Star Wars before, as I've pointed out several times. Disney doesn't take the risk for that.
No,
so that's my point, is that Warner Brothers got paid for this merch.
Yeah.
And even though Goddess says that Target had Superman toys on clearance, which I can believe, the movie was out and over with, it's done and said and done. I wouldn't be surprised if by now, if anything's left over, they're going to put it on clearance. But now this summer, every time I went to go get the Superman toys and the collection of the Justice Gang, the only thing they ever had in was just certain play sets and the fucking Green Lantern character. That's the only one they ever had. Yeah. So I don't know, Six, why what you had to, what you wanted to bring up related to this, but since we're talking about merchandising.
Yeah, I just thought that part of an interesting conversation I would like to hear is to see a map of, because you can, I'm sure probably Mark could make one, a map of the world, the United States, and see where did Superman bang out? Where did it not sell? How did the toys relate to that? How does it figure into the political climate of those areas in which it sold? And I'm sure that probably the movie studios are tracking that kind of stuff. But the fact that that is not part of the conversation, I think, is an aspect that we're potentially missing out on.
Okay, let's do it this way demographically. Superman definitely didn't bang out women. And that's a funny statement. But at the same time, it didn't pull women in, right? Whereas, again, I pointed out Wonder Woman for a reason earlier. I can pull out the disappointment of Wonder Woman 1984 and show that around. But the fact that the ladies did not get it or get involved in this Superman movie really hurt it, because this.
So, I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like there's not enough men who gave a shit.
Yeah, that's also true. But I mean, did this seem, based on the marketing and the advertising, did this seem like a date night movie to you? It didn't to me.
But I don't think Superman.
I had a good date night that night
either.
And then the other aspect of this that I don't think gets enough credit is that because when you look at it demographically, ladies don't repeat view movies, and if they do, it's something that speaks to the entire sex. Right. And those are very rare and few and far between, because what was the last movie that did that? Barbie? It was like Misandry the movie, but the ladies soaked it up. Hey, let's beat up on men some more.
Well,
And
here's what I got for the breakdown. Got
Sure.
26% Latino and Hispanic, 19% Black, 9%
dude,
Asian
Hispanics
American, 41%,
overperform for every movie. Holy
and then
crap.
40% Caucasian. And then as far as the male-female demographic, men over 25 were 43%, 87% grade. Men under 25% were 25% with 90% grade. That's what I was trying to tell you guys. The under 25% market loved this fucking movie. Women over 25 were only 19%. So you're not really wrong. They are the lower demographic. They did grade it at 81%. So the younger women didn't like it as much as the older women, although they came in less at 13%. They gave it a 90% grade. So the older demographic of women actually did like it. They just showed up in lesser numbers. So you're not wrong. Like overall, women only made up 32% of the entire. Yeah, it says right here, male female is 68 to 32%. So there you go.
So
So
how
you're
did
not totally
women
wrong, but go ahead. Sorry.
did women fail Zack Snyder's Superman movies? How do women
No,
fail
that's why I don't get
superheroes?
this whole thing with the women, because they didn't
Yeah.
fail the Zack Snyder movies because they were never interested to begin with. When these demographic things are done, they can't automatically assume women are just going to go with their boyfriends because, one, not every woman has a guy. Two, some women just say, hey, this guy, my boyfriend or my husband's got a guy he could go see it with as well. Doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I got Superman's Man of Steel's brought up here. Looks like, let's see here.
Yeah, well, you're finding that. Yeah, I think that the big, huge movies have that crossover appeal too. Like bring
This
back
one also
Titanic.
skewed male. Yeah, it says 56% of that, even more so. It looks like was fueled by older moviegoers, with 62% of the audience being over the age of 25. So yeah, they don't have as much of a breakdown here as the other one did.
And I don't want the superhero movies geared towards women. Because
No.
I love superhero movies, but the recent ones I don't love. And I'm assuming that the superhero movies of the past have been geared towards men. That's what I want to see. That's why they failed me in Star Wars, because they started making movies. They started making Star Wars movies for me. Don't fucking make Star Wars or superhero movies for women. Keep them geared towards the men, because that's where your fucking money is.
Nailed it.
It's
Nailed
true.
it. Yeah.
It's also where the merchandise is. So, and Six, you are so right. And Nick, in a way, you're right too. I guess Superman has never been a female property, and yet everything has been feminized. I mean, I've been railing about this now for 5 years, but
honestly, there has been a couple times they tried to skew towards the female demographic with Superman, and that was the original film, because they tried to romanticize Superman more, making it more about the romance.
With Lois,
and then they mirrored that with Lois and Clark, right? But again, Lois and Clark didn't pretend to be a flat out Superman show, right? It was built on the idea that this is a soap opera / romantic comedy set in Metropolis, and Superman just happens to be a character in it, right? Like that was kind of the way they were presenting that show.
You're talking the Dean Cain show or the new show?
Yeah,
because the new show did the same exact thing.
And that's what I've heard. Is I haven't seen it, but I've heard that the new show is very similar in its tone and set. Like it's more of the family aspect. But yeah. But that being said, no, demographically, Superman generally does skew a bit more male. I'm sure Batman fucking does too. But I'm sure Marvel films have always skewed a little bit more towards the female audience because they've had a bit of a more broader. I don't want to say appeal, but like,
there was so much hype over them. Like everyone wanted to see them too. So even, originally, like, oh, you're going with your crazy friend to go see the movie at midnight, and you're going to be a wreck tomorrow, because you're up till 3 or 4 in the morning before they, just put the movies on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. But then later on, when it became a cultural phenomenon, everyone wanted to see it. And Superman and these new movies, and Six nailed it too. They got away from their core audience, and then you can't make a movie specifically, oh, let's switch Star Wars to for ladies, and let's make superhero movies for women. But if you make a damn good movie, you're going to get that crossover appeal, and then you can have that that date night, or like a Titanic. Like, yeah, I got dragged to the movie, but it was okay to watch for most of it. It was interesting, but
I mean, I guess I've never conceded this before, but it's true. I mean, this could be perceived as a bit too much of an overcorrection from the Zack Snyder verse, right? I can see that now. stepping back a few months after the movie came out, realizing how some people reacted to the more comic book / Super Friends kind of feel to Superman. Like, I guess I can kind of see that, but then on the other side of it, you had everybody acting like prudes when it came to Peacemaker. So I don't know what to make out of half the shit that people say or see anymore. But that being said, we do have some other stories to get to, and we have some super chats. So is there anything more anybody has to say about Superman before we kind of close the book on that?
You got a super chat from Kaleki before you close that book.
Yeah, let's do some supers.
All right. With that, we got Joe Pat, who says for $1.99, what could POV sales even mean? Well, it means, the video on demand sales or whatever, preview sales, for those when people buy
pay-per-view.
The pay-per-view or whatever. They don't even really have pay-per-view anymore, do they?
Well, yeah, they call it rental, I guess. They call it rental,
yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what we're referring to when we talk about that stuff. And as I explained earlier, it's pretty much almost like a direct line to the studio. Like, they make quite a bit. In fact, they make more. This is why they've kind of abandoned physical media, for better or worse for them, is because in the digital realm, they make a hell of a lot more than they do, because you have to manufacture the disc, you have to ship it, you have to do all that business, in comparison to digital, where it's just so much easier. So yeah. And then we got Marks 47, who's been here for 53 frigging months. Thank you so much for that. We appreciate the support. And then Script Doctor's in the house. He's not on this panel, too bad, but he's in the chat and says, hey guys, on the train, for those who may not know, studios don't spend their own money. When they work smartly, their movies are debut with zero debt. Yes, this is something I've also brought up about pre-sales and all this other bullshit. There's so much that goes into that. And that's kind of what Culture was getting into. But my point is Warner Brothers did spend out on this movie. Michael Bay, or Jerry Bruckheimer, not Michael Bay, Jerry Bruckheimer and Brad Pitt, whatever money they spent in the movie, they were already in the clear before the movie even debuted in theaters as well, right? As far as the producers go. It was Warner Brothers' ass who was on the line as far as whether or not this movie was going to perform. That was my point. And that's why I was comparing it to Superman, because it's very similar in the respect of, if there is any money spent out of Paramount's Warner Brothers' pocket, not Paramount, sorry. There's all that Warner Brothers Paramount talk that we're probably not going to get into today. It'll probably be morning talk. But anyway, I got that on the brain. But yeah, so a lot of times they don't like to have any debt going into these things anyway. And that's something that Robert Shea and some of the old school producers were really good at. They were really good at pre-selling these movies so well that no matter what they did in the box office, it didn't matter. And then D-Bud says, I heard that Mexican Iron Man is buying up all of the Peacemaker Orgy playset toys. He's such a DC fanboy. If he was listening, he'd probably be pissed at you right now, D-Bud.
And yet, by that, I would not be surprised.
He'd be so mad at you. Kalekioki says, this was Star-Lord in a cape. The Superman lacked the sort of masculinity, assertiveness, constantly getting his ass whooped. This ain't Superman. Okay, I don't agree with all this, but, it's, agree to disagree, I guess.
I don't think that he got his constantly getting his ass whooped. And that might be a semantic thing, but
yeah. And as far as the assertiveness, Superman has never really been here's the thing, and here's the problem with this is, because of Man of Steel, because of The Dark Knight, and I'm not talking about the movie, of course, I'm talking about the comic book, right?
Yep.
There has always been this idea now since the last 20, 30 years that Superman is this assertive, authoritative, overly masculine 80s version the Reagan era version that they put in that comic book. He is not. He's never been that before, right? Yes, he was a little bit more stoic in the Christopher Reeve version. Christopher Reeve played down the more gee golly shucks aspect of Superman and played it up more in the Clark version. But Superman, and this is where I don't get why, I can understand where people are like, I didn't care for the humor in this movie, and that's fine. But that final end credit scene after the credits with Superman and Mr. Terrific, that is Superman, right? That is Superman in a nutshell. He is the type of guy that would be, oh shit, I'm such a jerk for saying that, right? He's such a Boy Scout. He's such
he's a big blue Boy Scout. Yep.
Yeah, and where Lois's lines where she gets,
I would agree with that, and I definitely come from a place of knowing plenty of the books. Like I said, a lot of the gun humor doesn't gel with Superman in the comics, but as far as his personality, a lot of that did gel with what we've seen in a lot of the books.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I get it, but the other great line I felt in the movie was when Lois said, "Your biggest problem, Clark, is that you trust everybody and you think everything is beautiful." That is Superman.
That is Superman. Yes, that
Yeah,
absolutely is.
I'd say this Superman is about as masculine as James Gunn.
That's a fair assessment. Look, at the end of the day, I mean, my point is that Superman has never been this stoic, quote unquote, in quotations, masculine type that Batman has been, right?
Yeah,
that
he's had moments,
which is
he's
true.
Had
I
moments,
agree with you there.
Moments where he's been the alpha in the room, but it's not a dominant trait that he possesses. Yeah, when he needs to lead a team, let's just say like the Justice League for that moment, sure, but ultimately that's still a team effort as well.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up, Nick. The thing about Superman is he knows he's the boss because he doesn't have to say it.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
He's
that's
the most
thing.
powerful superhero.
Exactly. He's the most powerful guy in the room all the time, but he doesn't act like it. He doesn't have to. And because of that...
He's not a show-off, yeah. I mean, his character... There's different interpretations of character.
Oh, yeah,
there's still a lot of things that cross over.
John Byrne run,
even with the different interpretations, there's a lot of traits that carry over.
Yeah.
And he's never been one to... let's just say, try to make himself the most important guy in the room, stuff like that.
And again, Kalecki, I totally understand where people are on about this, and it's fair. It's fair. And then just Kalecki. Oh, go ahead, Six. Sorry.
We're about to lose Culture, but I wanted to ask a follow-up question to something you said, Culture, about the budget, production budget, which we know the budget ahead of time, and which is different than what they actually spend.
Right.
How frequent is it that movies in general come in under budget?
Almost never.
Okay.
Yeah. I have often suggested that when putting out a budget, the studio should accurately figure out what the film should cost and then offer a bonus to any production team that comes in under budget.
I only know of a few directors who have ever been able to come under budget, and this is not me just because of the topic at hand, but James Gunn is actually one of them. There's only a few directors.
He only did it once, though, right?
No, he's done it a couple times. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, is the only one that I think he went extremely over budget, but that wasn't his fault. It was the studio calling for certain things, from my memory.
Yeah, they had him change the film a lot, which he got pissed off about. Yeah,
exactly. But now when it comes to 2 and 3, he come in under budget, I believe, from my understanding. And the same thing with, Superman, from my knowledge, it may have come in under budget. And of course, all his older independent films, there's other directors like Kevin Smith, who's known to come in under budget. A lot of indie directors were good at that. And are good at that.
It's because they needed to know that they were going to make a little money after they finished the film, and it was going to be whatever was left.
But even
over.
famously, movies like The Godfather went over budget, right? Like almost every movie in Hollywood has always gone over budget.
Yeah, it almost never happens. But again, at the same time, there's a schedule of minimum acceptable payment
leeway.
Yeah, and so it all comes down to what's going to be the back end for somebody. Like, somebody will agree to take less if they get more back end. It didn't used to be that way because they could hide the back end. Now, really hard to hide the back end. Different conversation.
Always hard. It's always hard to hide the rear end, Culture.
Well, and sometimes that's what they'll do. Is like it depends on how strongly the studio feels about the picture, or if they will put that on the director or the producer. And somebody who can probably speak to that as you're leaving and he comes in just a moment, we'll give him a chance to speak on that. But like, you'll have a situation where a director or producer will turn around and say, okay, I'll give up these points, or they'll do a guarantee that if they go over a set amount, then they'll take that out of their pay. Right. So like, there's that kind of a situation too. So that shit happens all the time, but script doctors, he pointed out, they never like spending their own money in Hollywood. So 9 times out of 10, that's situation.
The problem is when you apply the spending their own money, like let's assume that that's true. I've never heard about that, but assuming that that's true, then we have to then reevaluate a lot of movie budget conversations we have had from years on past, because then you got to start thinking how many movies does that apply towards.
Well, no one likes spending their own money, right? I always try to spend.
I get that.
I bring this up all the time, even when we're talking about shit I didn't like or I'm rooting against, or however you want to look at it. Like, I'll be the honest one in the room to say, look, it doesn't matter what we feel. At the end of the day, the deal they made with Netflix or whoever else, for foreign sales is going to pay for this son of a bitch. So it doesn't matter. So The Crow, sadly, was probably one of the most profitable fucking movies of last year that it came out.
No,
the year before.
The Crow.
It was prepaid for.
Disaster.
Yes,
it made like $6.
No, it didn't. It made a hell of a lot more than that, Culture. And you know it. Why? Because that Pluto fucking TV sale, plus it was all prepaid for, and all Lionsgate was in on, and it was, I think, what? Not even 15 million, 10 in all, and then 5 in advertising. And they made that back in their sales. So, like, even Lionsgate did fine by the standards. Like, that's the thing people don't understand. Some of the worst films in Hollywood are still big, profitable films for some people.
Script.
Yes.
I got to ask Script this before I leave.
Yeah, where
so
the heck have
please-
you been, Culture?
Dude, don't be me. It's really busy.
That's all
But that and a lot of appointments, and some I can talk to you guys privately about that. But honestly, who's the most notorious spendthrift in Hollywood?
Like, being the person who can like squeeze every dollar.
Yes. Yeah.
Like right
It used
now?
to be Blumhouse, but he's done gone off.
Yeah. Well, he has a budget now. He's got Universal.
Before, I would say Jason Blum before. I think now maybe Roy Lee might be he's pretty budget conscious as a producer.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
because he did like Barbarian. He did War.
Believe it or not, Safran's pretty good too.
He was.
Especially when it comes to like the Conjuring stuff.
He was, and that's why I thought, okay, this will work because you have somebody that's the bean counter that's going to hold a freaking gun to
a
bear.
gun to
Yeah,
his
well,
head.
I mean, it's the scuttlebutt around inside the industry that I'm at. My areas is that Superman was like less than 200 million to produce.
Which is what I heard. 189 million was the number I was quoted.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, a lot of it was shot domestically in the United States, and guess what? They don't have to publicly report those budgets.
Nope. Nope. And again, that's why all of us are talking to our contacts when we were looking at this stuff. But seeing the numbers I've seen being confirmed versus what people have told me, I'm like going, okay, yeah, I can see that. But look, at the end of the day, is Superman going to compel people to go to the follow-up movie? And that's why I kept trying to praise Nick. I'm like, are people going to want to see Man of Tomorrow after Whammon of Tomorrow, girl bosses all over their
I don't think
face?
they're gonna make that connection, Culture. I think some might,
Okay.
like people who pay attention. Let's just say some people who pay attention to like the universal aspect, sure. But I think on a normal level, I don't think that many people are gonna pay attention to Supergirl. Maybe unless it gets super duper well received, maybe they will. But I think the real eyes are gonna be on Man of Tomorrow for normies.
The other aspect that is also kind of not an official mandate, but it has been going around there that I've heard over at Warner Brothers Studios, is that they're trying to make sure that the women in their film are sexy in DCU.
Oh, good. Hey, I got another question because you said Warner Brothers. That's the magic word right now for me. So you got about a lot of layoffs coming in to Hollywood over the course of the next like month and a half. Warner Brothers is one of those rumored to do that. Plus, you've got potentially a deal where Skydance acquires them.
Yeah, right.
But
I know.
I understand. Normally, I would chuckle along with you there, but I don't think they're going to run into any adversarial administration or government issues with that. So, but getting back to the real conversation, do you think it's important that they re-signed the people that they were going to fire after Joker Folia D? They kept Abdi and
Bully a
DeLuca, yeah.
douche.
Because they were able to
They did
make
great
up for
stuff.
that shit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, well, they have one flaw with all the other wins that they had. Yeah, that's pretty fine. The other part too is that they're rebuilding Warner Brothers film department, pretty much from the ground up. Not them specifically, but they're part of that process.
And honestly, who can blame them specifically for Joker when any producer in their place would have made the same exact choice?
I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? There's no producer who would have said no to that deal.
But did they make that deal for the money and the budget that was allowed for that?
They probably. That's my point, though. I get what you're saying, Culture, and it could have been anybody. That's my point. And any producer would have said yes to whatever fucking Todd Phillips and Joaquin Phoenix wanted to get that fucking movie done.
Pretty much. Like that's where all the money went to Todd Phillips and Joaquin to do it again.
It's such a mess. That was such a disaster.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed Joker Folia Dua because I see what he was trying to get at, because it's like it's not the Joker. It's about the celebrity we put against horrible people in the world, and the way it shapes society at the time.
You mean inspires violence like what we're seeing right now?
Griff. I even though
Well,
I don't agree, I appreciate your honesty.
Well, here's the thing, right? What happened? That tragic thing that happened with that kid that killed that CEO for health insurance.
Luigi Maggioni.
We don't need to give him any more attention beyond that. But the way the public reacted to him is directly parallel to Joker Folie à Deux. And guess what? That movie came out before him. That's a commentary on part of society.
I see what you're saying.
When you relish someone who bucks against the system, and you build them up into something that they are absolutely not, and
I think that
try to compel them to be that, and they collapse in on themselves, and then it dovetails into that speech that the Green Goblin gives in the first Spider-Man. They love their heroes, but they also want to see them fail so that they can feel like they're better than them, and that's part of what Folie à Deux was striving to accomplish.
I agree with you.
People were already pre-programmed in the mindset that he's going to be the Joker that's going to face off to Batman. It's like, no, he was too pathetic before he donned the makeup.
Even that so much
as a threat in the future.
Like, my point is like, to me, that the film could have still made that point and still been better in other ways. Where
they could have actually sang songs in it more than once or twice.
Well, there's that aspect. Let's not even get into the fucking.
The musical aspect was
that's a bad idea.
The thing I'm getting at is even if it's the guy who necessarily inspired the Joker or whatever, even if he's not the Joker, because we all kind of knew that going kind of into this to the first place, like that was kind of obvious. But the problem I had with it was how they reacted to the reaction to the first film was what I got more from this movie was. As to
they hated that
been,
quote unquote right-wing reaction and love for that Joker. So the second one, I appreciate what in the script what you're saying what they tried to do, but it was almost like it was too popular for its own good, and they hated that. The
wrong people like the movie.
Hey, look, but no violent incidents happened at the original Joker movie, but they did at Frozen, exactly. Yeah, bring him a machete to
the point I was getting to is I think the movie would have been better served had Arthur come back, because you remember because my problem with him is he's like Arthur through the whole thing. He's kind of basically saying that the Joker doesn't exist and he's just this, construct or whatever. Instead, he should have had, the whole lawyer thing was playing out. I'm like, it would have been funnier had he just come back and been more entertaining and still made the same kind of point you're getting at. Had he come out as the Joker, basically defending himself, and he takes the whole fucking court hostage, right? On basically live television,
or
whatever
would do, and
but what he does is he ends up putting Gotham on trial, and that's where Gotham realizes what they've, championed all this time. And again, I get where you're coming from. It just, to me, I think that would have been an infinitely more entertaining film, and I think the musical aspect could have been used better with, Harley and the way she was. Like, that is the worst character in the film. Like, Harley, they really destroyed, in my opinion. But
well, I mean, she was Courtney Love, essentially,
which is bad enough. Yeah. No, it's just because I'm looking at this Warner Brothers thing, and you laugh at it, but I think it could actually happen. And again, there's no here in the States. There's not the kind of conflicts that would block something like this, because does Warner Brothers control any television networks?
No, they produce a lot of television, but
right.
One of the things you also have to remember is, legally speaking, Warner Brothers is not a U.S. company. They started in Canada, and their registration stuff is still up here in Canada.
Is it still in Canada?
Yep.
That's weird, because the acquisition through AT&T with the Reverse Morris Trust, you would think that because everything is in the U.S., that's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's something that even I'm just trying to still make sense of, because
I don't know how that works. Let me, because they shouldn't have been able to roll out the Reverse Morris Trust without. I'm
here's the other problem. So AT&T is technically connected to Bell, which is also another big company that's also founded in Canada as well. So, because a lot of the technology that AT&T distributes to the United States is distributed into Canada about 8 months prior. So, like all your DVD, like when you have like the DVR recording stuff and the digital boxes that you could watch like the same program on 4 TVs, but pause on one TV and then pick up where you left off on the other TV, that was done in Canada 8 months prior with Bell, and then went to AT&T in the United States.
Yeah. Before we get any further into this, I know Culture had to leave us soon, but I know Nick definitely has to pull out right this moment, like a prom date. So, Nick,
yeah, he
plug your
does.
business.
Yeah. Let's see. If you haven't, please check out my conversation me and Pablo Geek Tropology had earlier today with Mr. Mark Miller. It was an all-timer. We even talked about comic book cologne. It was absolutely amazing. I'll be hanging out with Mike Harlow on his channel in about 40 minutes.
Say hi to Mikey for me. I
will.
miss him.
Mike will regress, so please go hang out there after this reps, and I'll be on
What are you
TNT
talking to my
later.
gay boyfriend about?
Yeah,
I'm not telling you. That's our
There you
secret.
I miss that guy.
I'm mad at him.
Oh, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Tell him he can have you then, if that's the
Oh,
I saw
hey.
lube in the thumbnail.
Well, hey,
Oh,
he's got to have the new hot and ready to go man. So what can I say? All right, but it's been good. It's been fun. Great discussions. Great to see script and culture on here as well. Hope to see more of you dudes. And yeah, I'll be here on Tuesday. Thank you.
Bye, Nick.
Bye, chat.
All right,
Bye,
Nick.
Sick.
Bye,
Good
Nick.
night, Nick.
Nice, buddy.
All right. Let's see what else is being said in the chat. We had Kalekioku, who also said Gunn is obsessed with losers. Wouldn't be surprised I think he means, if he was a loser himself as a child. DCAU Soups should have been his best template. Look, I'm not going to disagree that he was he served Marvel much better than he probably would DC at the end of the day. But this is what happened, and we're just stuck with it. And even if I was stuck in David Zaslav's position, and you asked me who I think should head up the DC Films division, I would say James Gunn. Sorry, that's just what would have been my answer for, even still to this day, even with all the shit that he's said and done, everything that's happened, whether you like it or not, he was still the best bet they had.
Yeah, because even I'm looking at it like, even if I was just got like a director that would say to lead the DCU that was not James Gunn,
There's not many.
There's not many. Like
Jon Favreau might be the only other one I'd consider.
No, Jon Favreau would be fun for it, but I think maybe Joe Johnston probably, because he.
Oh, there you go.
Is he even? But that's my question. Is he even still work?
I mean,
because he hasn't done
seem like
shit
it.
in years.
Well,
right?
I mean, sticking most to like production, like as a producer right now. But yeah, like he's got.
I mean, if he was willing, he would.
On the Chronicles of Narnia with Netflix, I think.
Oh, is he? Well, I'm just saying, if he would be willing, hell yeah, I would be like, because he was one of the people I said, where the fuck is he with Star Wars?
Oh yeah, he'd been great for that.
Well, it only made sense because one of my favorite George Lucas stories is his story.
Putting him through film school, yeah.
Yeah, because he was burnt out after Return of the Jedi, and he said to George, "I quit." And George is like, "You quit? Why would you quit? You're one of the most talented guys I've ever met. In fact, I expected you to become a director someday." And he goes, "No, I'm just done with this shit. I can't handle it anymore." And he goes, "I'll tell you what, we'll pay you as an employee and I'll send you to school, directing school or film school. And if you still at the end of that don't want to do anything, you can just quit and you don't owe me shit."
Wow.
And yeah, that was the deal he made with him because he believed in him that much. And the proof is in the pudding. I mean, he made one of the best underrated Marvel films with Captain America. Most people forget that he directed that. He went through hell directing Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
He directed one of the most overlooked Disney films with The Rocketeer. I mean, he Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was the first film he made out of film school.
Great movie. Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the most undersung, underutilized directors ever, in my opinion. And he's never gotten his just dues, as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
No.
even Captain America itself does overshadow his being the director of that. So, yeah.
No, I would say Captain America, the first Avenger, it's my favorite of the Captain Americas, even though I do like a lot of what Winter Soldier has. But Winter Soldier is directed like a television show, and Captain America is directed like a feature film.
I agree. I mean, I like Winter Soldier, but I still veer towards the first.
And the
one.
other part too is like I would love to see him do like a Justice Society of America for DC, you know, a 1960s style, you know, superhero team, a precursor to the Justice League, retro style
Better
thing,
choice
because
than
they
George
can
Miller.
go anywhere in this DCU. Like James Gunn's established that they can do Sergeant Rock during the Second World War. That'd be a fun film to watch.
Well, it even says in the beginning of Superman that there's been
300 years of
metahumans.
knowledge of metahumans. The other part too is like as I said earlier, like one of the unwritten rules in DCU is that they're trying to make sure that all the women look sexy, like all the women that they want to make sexy look sexy.
Thank God.
Look no further than what they did with Saul Rodriguez. Like she's always been beautiful, but they threw her into the gym and now she's got like a legit like curves body, but an athletic body that's very feminine. And she's a tiny woman, but they make it work. And then you have Jennifer Holland, you got Rachel Brosnahan, you got the actress who's plays Cat Grant in Superman. Her name's escaping me. Like
Michaela, what's her? Yeah, sorry,
Michaela. Yeah, like what's funny is that I have so many colleagues that have the gif of her just jumping up and down inside Mr. Terrific's spaceship with her breast jiggling because they're like, look at that. And it's like, yeah, I mean,
I'm surprised they didn't focus at Rachel Brosnahan. They didn't really. She's got an incredible physique too, and they didn't
she
go
really
there
does.
with. Just watch the very first
things. Yeah.
Yeah, watch the very first episode of Miss Maisel. You'll thank me.
Oh yeah. I've seen. Oh, I like Miss Maisel a lot.
That's a great show. Yeah,
but I think. Like
she's
again,
always been brilliant, by the way.
You have Millie Alcock for Supergirl. The things I've heard about that production is that it is inspired by the Tom King book, but it is nothing like the Tom King book, which is a good thing because the Tom King book was
which is kind of what I was expecting. Crap. Yeah, especially since you got Lobo in there and shit like that.
But let's not pretend it's going to be great. Anyway, I don't know.
It might be fun. You got to go.
Yeah. I mean, look, the only thing Gunn understands is full frontal nudity. So, I
mean,
what's
wrong with that?
Well, because it's not a family friendly thing. He is incapable now of making anything family friendly because he's always.
I miss the dicks in Superman.
Friendly.
I miss the dicks in Superman. So like,
I miss Tom. You were hoping for them.
Who wasn't happy that their kids got to see it. I mean,
Corn Sweat is swinging.
Man of Steel, where people are like, I mean, Tom has his story. I've heard other people's stories where the kids are like crying watching the movie.
Yeah. At the time, my girlfriend's kid, who was like 6-7 years old, was bawling his brains out after the first 15 minutes of the film.
Because it sucks. Anyway, I gotta go. I love you guys. I miss you guys. I'll see you later. Thanks for having me.
He brings up that he is going off of movies. I'm going off the comics. Yeah, and that's why I brought up the comics. Is that if you go through most of the comics, Superman is not this stoic, Jesus.
He's not like changing of the guard. Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been some great interpretations of him as, the stoic can-do type of guy. There's been situations where he's a prankster, but not cruel. There's other situations where he's like the Boy Scout. I like a little bit of Silver Age and over into the Bronze Age more so of Superman. I'm a bigger fan of Bronze Age for Batman, but Superman's the type of guy who he'll mess with his supervillains for his own entertainment. There's a famous comic books panel where a criminal thinks that he's got kryptonite and he's just a regular thug and he shows it to Superman. He's like, "See, I got this. I can kill you, Superman." Superman grabs it and eats it because it wasn't really kryptonite, and he just makes fun of him that way. It's like that's clever and it's good, but it's also predates the bumbling Clark Kent, which was more of an invention from the Donner film, but I think it was like really fun to watch.
It was a nice dichotomy, yeah. It helped you the believability of this guy can't be fucking Superman.
It was like a bigger facade. Then they inverted it for Lois and Clark with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, and I like that interpretation a lot because even though the production was kind of weak, and even the acting, because Dean was a new actor at that time, so I don't begrudge him too much. But he got to say some of the best lines for Superman character in that series. Superman Lois
Dean
tried
Cain's
to copy
Superman
that, but was
is still
completely backwards because it was a horrible show. They ran out of ideas in the 4th season to the point where they had to give Lois Lane cancer. Like that's how exhausting
the new show you're talking about.
They were.
The new show you're talking
the Superman and Lois?
The Superman Lois.
Yeah.
Well, Lois and Clark, I still like Dean's interpretation. Like it is a little bit more of a going back to the Big Blue Boy Scout, even a little bit more than Christopher Reeves was from my memory. I mean, I haven't watched it much.
Well, it was more of it was a Superman. It was Clark Kent, confident in that he has powers, not having doubts of how to best effectively use them, and figuring out what it means to be Superman for the first season. That's what made the first season amazing. Right. Once Deborah Joy Levine, who created the show because she was created the show from Warner Brothers with CBS because they wanted to do a Superman show because they got rights back and didn't want Superboy anymore, and they liked her because she had snappy dialogue. And she honestly said, I can't do this because I'm not a Superman fan. The only thing I could do for you is write you a romantic workplace comedy.
I remember that, yeah.
And then they said, give it a shot. And they did. And she did her research. She made it work. And the show was a hit. And then someone at CBS, I think it was CBS, said, hey, we're going to replace you with Robert Singer because we want a little bit more action in season 2. And we want to see if we can get Lois and Clark together a lot faster. And Deborah Joy Levine said, like, her initial plan was that Lois and Clark wouldn't even start dating till like season 4 if she had it her way.
Well, right. It's the will they won't they thing is
yeah, because the will they won't they
moonlighting scenario.
Yes,
right?
yes,
moonlighting and everything. But yeah, like that was a pretty good show. The Superman the Animated Series is a pretty strong interpretation. In fact, if you watch that and like that, you'll see lots of parallels in Superman the movie for it.
Mhm.
But my biggest gripe with the James Gunn Superman the movie is that's over edited. And
I agree with that.
and
There's
then the next
definitely
one-
20 minutes on the floor somewhere. Yeah.
and the next part of next big conflict of that is it doesn't have a film score. It's got sound. It has musical interludes, but no film score. Like there's no scene or set piece that is like you could throw the any Superman march to or any type.
I think
of
I know the
thing,
reasoning for that
'cause
script.
it's partly over edited is one part.
Well,
yeah.
no. You're not wrong on that part, but I think it's because here's the reason I found out why there's 2 composers on top of it all. First of all, the original composer was John Murphy, I think, who did it first, and I can't remember who the second guy who came in was. But his first thing, he was doing his score from the script.
Right.
The movie wasn't even fucking done yet. So he did, and so if you listen to the score, because I have it, I think I sent it to you too, but like you're right, like there's like you see where his is, and then the other one comes in, because then Gunn said afterwards it had nothing to do with the edit, but it had to do with with Murphy's music was too dark for his film. So there's certain aspects that are still there, certain clips that are still there, but otherwise it's the other guys coming in, and so you can kind of tell whose was what, right? And the other thing I complain about what they did is you're not wrong, because this was everybody's biggest complaint is if you're going to use the John Williams fucking music, then fucking use it, because they only use a portion of it and they never finish the song. So you're constantly getting edged by the first few, bars of the Superman theme, and it never completes. Like you only like once or twice do you ever get the full on dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun dun dun, and then usually they play off of something on that last note that always leaves you dick teased through most of the movie. And only like 2 times in the entire score does it ever complete. So like you're like, okay, so I've been just edged to shit this entire time, like with this theme, and I can understand people's aggravation with that. Because some people were saying that the theme isn't in there enough. I'm like, no, it's in there. It's just the problem is you're only getting like the first few bars and it never fucking completes. So you're pissed and you're getting this anxiety because of it. And I agree with that. That is a problem with the score, 100%. And his choice of music outside of that, other than the couple songs, like his song that he wrote, that Crabjoy song, sucks. It fucking sucks.
That Crabjoy song does suck. It's funny in the movie, but it does suck. But it's
but the other stuff was okay. Like the Knowing the Whale song grew on me, and of course Iggy Pop is Iggy Pop, so I have no problem with Iggy Pop. But yeah. But Mikey's in the house and he heard that, D-Bud. He said, I freaking heard that crap. While I'm stressed out, you are fired. Oh, so that means I got to take away his wrench. Shit. 6 might supersede you on that, though.
Big pay cut for D-Bud coming.
Okay, so he's not going to lose his wrench. He's just going to get a pay cut.
Yes,
Gotcha.
I think he should keep his wrench, no pay for a week.
So the reason I'm sharing this is because comic covers like these are the inspiration for why we got the trailer we did for Superman. Oh, look at this. You got Superman and he's being defeated, or he looks like he's in peril. Yeah, man, I want to open that book and see how the heck is Superman getting a
Superman
situation.
Was in peril every single fucking serial I watched. Just so you know.
I know.
Can Superman get out? Find out next week. Of course, that's not totally true.
I mean,
half the time it was Lois or fucking Jimmy.
Well, I mean, there's also like the other part. But the thing is, the point of the matter is that when you look at a trailer and you complain, oh man, Superman, we're seeing him bleeding, is like, have you not read a Superman comic before? Like, you really think the movie is going to be like 2 hours of him just getting his butt kicked and not being able to get back up and win in the end of the day? Because that's what's called stakes. Like, if you don't want your superhero or your hero in a film to face any challenges, go watch The Force Awakens.
Well, and I swear some people are ignoring that this guy beat another character with the engineer.
Yeah.
Like,
He
at one
defeated the
point,
engineer and his clone.
literally beat his clone with the engineer, like picked her up and beat the other character with it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because in Man of Steel, the absolute opposite happens. What the two Kryptonians beat up Clark by whipping him, or Superman by whipping him around. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Excuse me.
Yeah, like this is one of my favorite all-time toys. I had the comic that my grandfather gave me. Of course,
what does Superman need a supermobile for, though?
because Corgi made the vehicle, so they had to put the vehicle in the comic book. And I'm reading it's like, well, Superman has no powers. He's got to fight criminals, so he's got the Superman supermobile. And McFarlane finally came out with it years later. But it's one of my favorite comics as a kid. He fought a Mazo in this, Superman mobile. It was ridiculous, but they just wanted to make make Corgi. But
it's as bad as Spider-Man on a motorcycle, Mark.
Well, he had a motorcycle, and he also had a four-wheeler too that shot webs.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, the Spider-Man.
Mark, why does he can go on road trips with his friends.
What does the thing need a motorcycle, right? I mean,
the thing would break that son of a bitch. There's no way.
He ain't fitting on that.
Yeah. Ain't no fucking way.
What's ironic is that they just could have made it a Superman spaceship so he could go from planet to planet and fight other bad guys.
Which depends on which version you want to go by, because he can just fly otherwise. Yeah, depending on
like there's some where he doesn't even breathe, and then there's others where he can hold his breath a super long time, and then I mean this Superman, we've already got it confirmed in the movie. He still needs oxygen to live.
But how does he go to the moon though? Because Byrne, I remember reading the Byrne
his breath for
comic
up to an hour.
Yeah, and then I'm like, we had a debate in the comic shop. Why does Superman need an oxygen tank now when he goes between planets? Like, those are the geek and nerd arguments we loved having. But yeah, they depowered him a lot in the Byrne, in the Byrne run, and it was kind of interesting too, because then he wasn't he needed oxygen, right? But before that,
he could hold his breath for an hour, and he's like, it's going to take me 4 hours to get to Saturn. Okay, we got to give him an oxygen tank so he can take a breath.
And that's kind of what we get here from our interpretation, because I think they say he can only last an hour or 90 minutes without oxygen, I think, in the movie.
Yeah.
So they already know that.
And if he can fly from Metropolis to his Fortress of Solitude, which is in this Antarctic in this version, in only like a minute, he could probably get from the Earth to the moon in like 20 at the most.
Yeah. So, I mean, I like that they dumbed down his powers a little bit. And I hate saying that because it's not true, because they're just kind of taking him back to the more original Superman. Because people forget that the original Superman wasn't as OP as he is now.
No.
Like, they've gotten to the point where he can basically put out a star with a fucking single...
Yeah, like that's from one of the documentaries that they're like, yeah, he's just so overpowered. We got to figure out a way to do something because, our audience is going to read a book. They're going to say, oh, well, Superman in like 3 issues earlier, blew out a star before it went supernova with his breath. Why couldn't he just defeat this character? Why couldn't he defeat Lobo? You're like, yeah, your bad writers put better writers in really difficult positions because they're trying to hit a deadline.
Yeah. So I honestly I get some people's issues with the film, but I thought the film did a pretty good job as far as like what he can do, what he can't do, his limitations. He doesn't even completely know his limitations yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I mean, and he does know that the sun is his friend. So we got that part already established. So, like, yeah, I have no problems with any of that. And I have no problems with him not being, so overpowered. And because at the same time, they still claimed he's the most powerful metahuman. So he's still the most powerful one. But
he's the most powerful one. But even in the comics, a member of the Green Lantern Corps could restrain or defeat Superman. So long as they have the will and imagination to do so, which is pretty...
Same thing with, like, Metamorphose making kryptonite, right? Like, I mean, I don't see why people had such a problem with that scene. It's like the dude literally poisoned him with kryptonite at one point. Like, it's his kryptonite!
Yeah. But I have some pretty positive vibes for Supergirl, because the one thing that's going to bring the male audience in is the comedy of Lobo through Jason Momoa.
I think so. I think the women are going to gravitate towards that.
Yeah. And also I've seen some stuff, what's the term? Voyeur behind the scenes footage, but a couple of actual like previs stuff, and looks promising. I hope it gets refined well and isn't a rush job for the film, because it literally, I think, debuts in 7 months, I think, when it comes out. Or do they push it back to June again? I've been on 3 different productions like the last few months. I can't remember when.
Which movie are you talking about?
Yeah, Supergirl.
I think it's July.
I'm higher on
July. Okay,
I'm higher on Supergirl right now than I was on Superman. But I want to see something of it. I haven't seen anything yet, right? If you have, and you're saying you like what you're seeing, I'm thrilled. But
I haven't seen any
yeah.
dialogue scenes. That's the problem. Like, I want to see a conversation. I
Yeah.
want to know the tone, like a better tone, because action stuff, that's easy to gauge because it's, it's easy.
I have a
to
feeling we'll
get
get
them
something
on.
during Super Bowl, probably. Like, it'll be very similar to the Superman rollout, I bet.
Well, they missed Super Bowl. I mean, that's
They did, but I think this is going to be done already because it's been done for some time. It'll be ready to go. I
yeah,
think.
they wrapped production many months ago. They're in heavy editing.
Yeah. We'll
But
see. I could be
we'll
wrong,
see.
but yeah.
I've heard really great things about Lanterns. So, and I know that's debuting. I think right after Supergirl.
Which might hurt Supergirl's box office because they'll probably try and pull the same thing they did with Peacemaker, but we'll see.
Yeah, that part is that frustrates
And that
me.
seems so corporate, so that I can actually half-ass understand where James is coming from on that, even though his explanation is kind of convoluted. I think I get what he's getting at.
I suspect that every tough decision that's been made puts James Gunn in a position where he's got to figure out a way to justify it because he's the face of DC Studios corporate.
Exactly.
Like Saffron doesn't do much publicity for it. It's all James.
No, and it's not up to him distribution wise. He just makes the movie and delivers it.
Yeah, the studio so Zaslav and a bunch of his people kind of coordinate with Pam Abdi, Mike DeLuca, Saffron, and two other names I'm forgetting right now on their release windows. And then they have their deadlines to hit, and then sometimes they can shuffle things around depending on the production. But I mean, I know Clayface is going pretty well. Curious.
And that's
to see.
cheap.
Yeah, that's pretty curious to see how they.
And
do
I've heard
that
Supergirl's a lot cheaper than Superman too, so we'll see. What the
yeah,
budget ends
I
up
think
being, but
Jason Momoa is probably the most expensive actor on that.
that's what I've heard. Is it's pretty
production.
cheap. So we'll see how it turns out. I did have one more story to hit before we get out of here, though. Netflix is spending reportedly $500 million on season 5 of Stranger Things. Each episode will be a full-length movie.
Wow.
Now, I haven't caught up with the show since season 1, so I'm not really even in on the show anymore, but I caught this and I'm just like, Jesus.
Last season, I really enjoyed. I thought it was really well done, but some of the episodes were almost like an hour and a half. I think I'm trying to remember, but yeah,
particularly the last two were.
But
yeah,
isn't
weren't they like an hour and a half almost?
All those kids are like
The
30 now, aren't they?
Something like that.
Yep.
well, I know they're
Isn't
probably
Millie
early
Bobby
too,
Brown,
like
like,
21, 22, right?
I don't know. She got
Because they were,
surgery to
like,
look
11 years
30,
old.
but yeah.
Yeah.
$500 million. I'm not surprised. Netflix has the money to burn.
Yeah.
They have to be operating at a loss every year anyways, or else they get a lot of trouble financially at other markets.
Is that how that works?
Well, for them as a tech company, yeah.
So yeah, they'll be spending $50 to $60 million per episode. Jesus Christ!
8 feature-length movies.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
each-
it makes money for Netflix, right? I mean, if you ask what's
guess.
to name something from Netflix,
I can't believe
that's
it's
gotta be
bringing
up
in
there. I mean-
newer viewers, but maybe it's one of those shows that brings viewers back. Because that's where that's kind of, I guess, the better part of this conversation. Because that's where I think streamers are at right now. I don't think they're bringing in any new viewers. I think they're only bringing back the viewers that they lost in churn. And this is why I think that we're only a few years, if not even months at this point, away from where some of these streamers decide that you're going to have to sign into a subscription, whether you like it or not. Because that was the thing that, if you remember, that people hated the most about cable. Because we've talked about these things time and time again. And I'm not saying I'm the only one to bring this up, but I'm usually the guy to point out and remind people that, the big stickler with cable is you couldn't just cancel your cable, right? Like they made it. In fact, there's a whole fucking South Park episode about trying to cancel your
I
cable.
called to cancel my cable. I asked my daughter to try to do it for I'll get like, Nicole, here's $20. Go on the phone to try to cancel cable when we went to YouTube TV. And then I had to get on. Then the guy's yelling at me. I'm like, well, you MFers, what about when I had no internet for a month? Where were you then? It's like the phone and TV was out,
But yeah, so I mean, that's the thing is I have a feeling that we're not too far away from that because they're going to have to figure out a way to get out of this churn. Because that's the thing that's killing them, because they can't keep their customers. Because most people I know in general just subscribe to one or two of these services, and then they hop around the rest for the rest of the time. They catch up on things and they just come back. Because unlike us, they don't give a shit if they see season 5 of Stranger Things the day it drops, right? Like they'll wait until it's their month to go back to Netflix and then they'll watch it.
binge
Right?
watch it and then
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
drop it
that's
again. Yeah.
maximizing your dollar. If you do one subscription for 30 days, just like, okay, I'm planning these are the shows I want to watch over those 30 days, and then you pull the plug.
Yep.
There's for customers, I think that's great. For businesses, that's horrible.
And
But
that's where I think they're going to change the way this works pretty soon. I have a
if they
gut
go
feeling.
subscription level, like, and contracts, that's gonna hurt them more. I mean, really,
But
like,
what are you going to do?
the smartest thing would be is a very slow but soft rollout of just advertising in between shows, in between the act breaks, and just leaving it as it lay. Because you get the subscription like you can with cable. Back in the day, cable had commercials. Guess what? Commercials pay for television, even if it's on streaming. It's the only way to sustain it. And the other part too is I know a lot of people where all they're doing is going to Amazon to buy stuff when they can buy it cheaper elsewhere. And the only reason they don't know they can go elsewhere is because they're not watching domestic television. They're not watching YouTubes with ads. They're just paying for the subscription to not get commercials, and then are getting ripped off by Amazon, essentially.
Well, Amazon kind of is training you already, right?
Yeah.
Like, because they've had their setup since the start, that when you sign up to that, you have to go in and change it to where it's only for the month by month. Otherwise, they charge you for the whole year up front, and most people do that anyway because it's
For the
built
Prime,
into your
yeah.
Amazon Prime, right? And that was the study that came out a couple years back that only like 30%, this was prior to Lord of the Rings, only like 30% of the people who had Amazon Prime were actually using the video side of it, as opposed to now it's in the 60 to 70 percentile from my last recollection. I'm sure 6 or somebody else will correct me if I'm wrong.
Mhm.
But like people are just finally starting to realize that. But like you're already kind of stuck into that as a year. Like I have a feeling, I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but it will happen, like you said, possibly slowly as they kind of move along here. I wouldn't be surprised within the next 5 years, all of these streaming services, you have to basically sign up with some sort of subscription or contract, or you're stuck with the worst possible version of it on a month-to-month basis, right? Like it would be basically like the free version of old Peacock or stuff like that is basically the best you can get for $8-9 a month. Otherwise, you got to pay X amount to get it for
You
a
might
year.
have to pay X amount. The other part too, they might do a package system with your internet service provider, where
That's
if you
too,
get that
yeah.
thing, you're getting signed up for these services, and if you don't want them, you have to pay a little bit extra here.
Cable all over again. Yeah.
It's going to be cable again. Yes.
Yeah, because we I remember when cable first came out, my dad, in 1980, when we had it in our neighborhood, he's like, there's no way I'm ever paying for TV ever. But they were selling all these packages like Rainbow Gold Plus and of course no internet back then, but they also didn't have commercials in the very beginning. That was
Right.
one of their advertising features, like
Cable
no commercials.
didn't, a lot of them, no.
Yeah, cable
just the
didn't.
networks
And then
did, yeah.
They thought,
Yeah.
if they're paying for it, we're going to be
Yeah.
making a lot of money, and then they realized, oh wait,
Oops.
where's the money coming from for us to make new stuff? Oh, from the subscriptions? Oh, we're not getting enough money for that. We better start
Yep.
selling commercials. It's like, yeah,
We've seen this before.
45
Exactly.
years ago, this was already
Yeah.
addressed and solved. And myself,
Full circle.
hundreds of others in Hollywood, during the dawn of like when Netflix hit it big and then studios are entertaining streaming services were like, yeah, just do what cable did in the 90s, not in the 80s.
Yep.
Yeah.
Deliver it just like it's everything else, cheap for a sign up and keep it ad based, and you will do numbers. And they're like, oh no, we want to do what Netflix does. Like Netflix is an aggregator of everything you guys make. The reason they're popular is because it's a one place to stop, shop, and get what you want.
Right.
That is very tempting, very convenient for a lot of people. But if you want to keep your own stuff, you got to go network model. Network has always been the most effective thing.
And
Yeah,
and
well-
I talked about this on my Geekery show on Sunday night. Cable TV is now basically down to 5 networks, and you look at you had to go all the way. I think top scripted show was number 57. I mean, everything is football, sports, and news, but the news is even basically nothing. And the highest rated show was like an HGTV show for like 500,000 viewers.
Like home
So-
renovation thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like a home renovation show. And I mean, it's just Deadliest Catch. Big Bang Theory was 198 a rerun.
Well, this is why
And it-
David Zaslav was such a big deal, is because he kind of pioneered a lot of this unscripted, quote unquote, TV. And I say that with quotes because script is here, and he'll be the first to tell you that unscripted television does have writers.
Yeah.
But that being said, he was the one who pioneered this cheap ass TV, but everybody had to see it, right? Like that was the one thing I noticed was like, I asked everybody, do you have CBS All Access? Do you have Paramount Plus? Or not Paramount Plus, but do you have HBO Max? Do you have this? Do you have that? And everybody would say, well, we got Amazon or we got Netflix. Those were the norms. But then the one that kept popping up was Discovery Plus. I'm like, what do you mean Discovery Plus? And like, yeah, we got to have it. Like, what do you mean you got to have it? They're like, yeah, we got to have it or we miss out on 90 Day Fiance or whatever else is going on at the
You'd
time.
miss out on
Reality
Property
TV.
Brothers. You'd miss out on all of those wilderness shows. Yeah, I know it's
Sister Wives.
well,
or
one of the things that's
Deadly
kind of interesting
Catch.
with those reality shows is they're very simple, complex, but they're also like, especially the stuff with development, like whether it's an archaeological dig story or a building a house story. People like watching people build stuff.
They're good at binging too. And, you know, because I have the same thing with like, I'll get sucked into like a Storage Wars type show, stuff like that. It's like, you know, I know this shit's fake.
But it inspires nostalgia because they'll find something that you remember as a kid and you're like, oh, now they've got me.
I just like I like the it just works as a setup, and it's like, God damn it, if they don't fucking make some of these shows work. Same thing with some of the cooking shows, especially the Gordon Ramsay ones. I'm a sucker for, huge sucker for. So like, yeah, and a lot of this goes back to I still watch cop videos because I was raised on fucking Cops. Which, let's be real, that's the original version of this. Everybody talks about, you know, reality TV starting with like The Real World or Survivors. Like, fuck you, Cops. Cops is reality TV begins, man. Like,
and the fact that Paramount canceled that show was the biggest mistake.
Then they
it
brought
ended
it
up back
right?
on Netflix now.
Yeah, but like now Netflix is making all the cash on it. Like,
but there's so many imitators that have kind of surpassed Cops. That's the thing now, because Cops, they would manage to get some really cool shit. But now there's like these YouTube channels, and this is where I get sucked down rabbit holes, that you'll have the ones that have like just straight up like you know, police cams. And the best part is you can get into certain areas. So like I'll sit here and watch them go, fuck, I know that place. Or it's like I'll watch and go, maybe I'll know this guy. You know, like that's what you get watched. You get watched for that, you know, thrill of it. And then you got the other ones who actually come back later on and they do the whole breakdown of the entire cases, usually mixing in, you know, everything from the cop videos to the news footage to everything. And they do these really great jobs. And these are just guys like us putting this shit together, right? So like,
I mean, I love watching the Russian dash cams because that country is nuts.
Oh, there's a ton of dash cam videos. You can just watch compilations of dash cam crashes and shit. Yeah.
I've seen a dash cam video where two women get out of the car and literally are starting to throw rocks at the windshield. And then the guy, we find out that the trunk is in the front of his car. He opens up the trunk and he pulls out a baseball bat with nails sticking out of it. Like he's got it prepared. And he starts going after it.
That's my favorite ones besides when they find bodies. Those are always great too.
He pulled
because they're just
Lucille
having
out
a
of the
casual
trunk.
conversation. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was just joking. He pulled Lucille out of the trunk from Walking Dead, right?
Well, it's like they're sitting there going, like they're just having this casual conversation with some guy, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Can we look in the trunk? Why you want to look in the trunk?" And then shit starts shifting, and then all of a sudden they look in the trunk, and it's like either the guy pulls out a gun or he jumps in the car and takes off. It's like you know where these things, you never know where these things are going to go, but you always have this expectation, especially built up from whatever the title says. So it's like, you know, especially the one where there's a dead body involved, because it's always the cops are so nonchalant until they're like, "That's a body." Yeah, it is. Fuck.
The cops never worked in Canada because it'd always be, "Okay, there, have a nice day, see you later."
That's a dead body, eh? Sorry, we're gonna have to arrest you, eh?
Okay, yeah, let's go. You want me to follow you, or are you just gonna drive the car?
Well,
no, you
I
can
think we
follow
can
us.
trust
We
you.
trust you.
Just don't do nothing with the body yet.
Yeah, don't pollute with the body. Yeah, don't dump it in a prescribed dumping area. Yeah. Then cops, did they get in trouble too? They weren't allowed to film inside people's houses, or something. They have to before the riots.
I don't know about that part. I mean, if you notice, a lot of times they don't ever show a lot of domestic stuff on cops.
I think they
usually
stopped doing that. I think that
if they
I'm trying to remember.
Traffic
someone through a house, they would usually get the release form from the property owner afterwards, and the property owner would also get like some money from the show.
Thing that I remember hurting cops was that I think one of the camera operators got shot during one of the deals, and I think there was lawsuits involved. And I think that's why Paramount kind of finally backed out of it. But the original producers of the show just kept it going. It was kind of a lot like what's the one, the unsolved, not unsolved mysteries, America's Most Wanted.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
they tried taking that off the air so many times, but the demand for it was there that they just couldn't get away from it. And I think
it
Cops
also
is the same way. Yeah.
that show led to a lot of solved cases. So it's like it's really hard to justify
John
taking it
Walsh,
off when it's helping society.
And then his
Yeah,
son was
yeah.
abducted and murdered too.
That was
Right,
Jonathan
yeah.
Walsh, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Walsh. Yep.
Walsh, yeah.
How
And the
do
FBI wanted to keep it on the air too.
how do police cam videos get released? I mean, is that part?
Okay.
Does somebody have to fill out like a
They're part of a
public
public
information
record. The other
paperwork?
part
and-
too is that if you're caught on a police cam, you still have the right to remain anonymous on it if it gets released on public record, unless you are a convicted felon.
Well,
in which
what
case,
you do
then
is
you're
like
right
what
there.
Six is asking, and it's true. Yeah, you got to go through all this shit to fill out this paperwork, and I think you even have to pay a fee usually.
You have to, in
Yeah,
the
you have
United
to
States, you have to
pay.
pay a fee, and you still don't get the raw footage. You still get it with like some people, especially in the background, their faces and identity will be blurred out.
Redacted and all that shit. Yeah.
And certain information will be redacted. Yeah, because again, there's a chance that you might be requesting it while there's still an ongoing investigation, or that the footage will be used in a trial at some point. And if you're not members of council, you do not get the raw footage.
I'm sure it depends on the state, I think, from my understanding from some of these channels that I kind of half-ass follow. And not only that, you usually have to wait until the case is either already been through court, or I think some of them can get it in certain states, but they have to be very blunt that, nobody's been charged yet until, or everybody's innocent until they're, proven guilty in a court of law kind of shit. And even
'Cause I was
cops used to have
wondering-
that kind of shit. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was wondering if that was related to how they're able to air footage of the inside of somebody's home, if that's part of like the public record.
Well, they have to get clearances like scripts said.
Yeah, you get the clear, and also those cop episodes, they're shot like months before they drop on air,
Yeah.
and a lot of this time it's all the things have been resolved. I mean, that's usually what happened at the end of the episodes. Like, yeah, this guy got sentenced to 2 years in jail. It's like, how do they know that so quickly? It's because they shot it, a year
They
ago.
do it that way on purpose, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Some of these other videos are constructed that way too. So I'm sure it depends on maybe the state. Because that's another thing too. I remember how cops would only shoot in certain states depending on the state laws too.
Yeah.
So and
Yeah,
now with
there's
the
a number
body
of
cam
states-
laws, it's hard to say Six, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a number of states that require dual party consent, and then a bunch that only needs a single party consent. But the other part too, the stipulation with cops is that it's a show that makes profit through ad placement, which means that if you get caught on video and they don't get a release form for you, or you don't sign a contract where you get residual for them using your footage or property in that, you can sue the show for exploitation.
Yeah, my
and after you
understanding is that everybody on the show got paid. Yeah.
yeah, and the other part too, this also works in the United States and Canada, is that if you're average Joe walking on the street and someone comes up to you with a camera and films you and doesn't get your consent, if they're going to monetize it, you can sue them for any ad revenue that they make on that video. Otherwise, they have to either pull it down or demonetize it and not make any money off it, or redact your image and name.
A lot of people doing commercials have gotten in big trouble with that. My
Yeah.
brother-in-law films commercials for a living, so he's always paranoid about that. If like someone
Oh,
walks into a
absolutely.
store or something,
Oh,
that
yeah.
they're not supposed to be there because they're not, they don't have a release for them. It's like, and the owner's like, well, what do you mean we have to reshoot that scene? He's like, well, I can't. The person wouldn't give me a release, so I can't use the footage now. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's like,
No, you
I
gotta
have
worry.
to worry. You gotta worry about it. You're be in huge trouble if the person
Yep.
sees himself on TV.
Which is just funny
Yeah.
because once like the rest of the world, especially in the United States, knows that, all those on the street videos of people getting into fights, those will either be vanished, or the people that posted those videos will be paying out like tons of percentage of the revenue to the
A
people.
lot
that
of
were
time
filming
those
without
guys do
authorization.
buy them flat out, actually script. I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of them where they do.
Yep.
But yeah, Connor Dorian has reminded us that Supergirl comes out June 26th. Thank you for that. Yeah, I knew it was right around
Okay, so
July,
9 months.
so-
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
And then ActionCom says the left-hated cops, sorry, Michael Moore blamed the perception of POC coming from cops show.
Oh, the show
Look,
Cops?
You can't make we're not the ones
I don't
who
know
make the
about that,
criminals,
man.
there were a lot of rednecks on that show too. Gee,
Oh God, yes.
It definitely seems leaning into one
Some of the more
different,
memorable ones were, right?
political
Like,
direction.
I mean, Reno 911 proves that. I mean, look at that show in comparison. Like, yeah, it's
That's
like that shows a
hilarious.
straight up satire of
Yeah.
of cops. So yeah. But it's funny to kind of understand and you think about it, like, holy shit, that crackhead on Cops did get paid.
Yeah, he used that for his lawyer because he didn't want a public defender.
Yeah.
Well, I
Right, get him
remember
bailed
when I
out.
found out that the People's Court people got paid. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what? What
Yeah,
the
And some of
hell?
those cases, well, some of those cases are made up, and not only that, I was surprised. I mean, I always kind of figured, but I was kind of surprised when I found out that Jerry Springer was all bullshit too. Because my
Oh,
buddy asked me when,
No.
yeah, he
Yeah.
goes one day, he called me up
Kidding.
and he goes, "You want to be on Jerry Springer?" I'm like, "Really?" Well, no. First he goes, "You want a free trip to New York?" I'm like, "Maybe." Why? He's like, "Well, we have to leave X and X date, which was like a week or so out." I'm like,
Yeah, but-
"Okay, what's the catch?" And he goes, "Well, do you want to be on an episode of Jerry Springer?"
Well, that was filmed
like-
not from
That would've
that's
been
filmed in
amazing,
Stanford,
Tom.
not
This
from
was-
far from where I work.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like out to New
Theatrical.
York or wherever it was, and then he goes, "Well, what we got to do?" He goes, "Your girlfriend has to be in on it too." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, because you have a girlfriend and I don't. We have to go on there and we have to pretend that I slept with your girlfriend and get in a fight about it, and we get paid $200." Like, so we get a free trip and $200. And I'm like, "Well, you know what? Fuck it, honey. You want to do this?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "Well, I guess that's the answer."
Yeah, because I drive by in Stanford all the time when they, Jerry, come see the Jerry Springer show. I was in a theater, right?
Now,
right
my
downtown
understanding is that
Stamford,
some of
Connecticut.
them weren't completely manufactured Mecha J, but a lot of them were, or
What
they were
about the
amped
ones
up.
that where kids were like, because sometimes there'd be like a kid backstage waiting
see-
to find out who their dad was. That's terrible.
My understanding is those might be real. Like I said, some of the stories, I guess, were like either embellished or were real, but then they had to fill in, because they're not going to get as many of those. Because Montel and some of the other ones had the market, and Maury had the market kind of cornered on
Oh,
some of that
Geraldo
shit.
Rivera had a huge.
And Geraldo too, yeah.
Oh,
So I mean, Jerry had to come up with his own shit. So, like,
Well, I mean,
There's a lot of his
keeping up
shit,
with
yeah.
like strippers telling their bosses that they're carrying their children, like
yeah, shit like that.
what was that tomb that Geraldo Rivera opened?
Oh, that was
we
Al
thought it was
Capone's-
vault, and he
Oh,
got
Al
totally
Capone's
embarrassed
vault.
because
Oh.
we all knew. Oh, it was Al Capone's vault, and then the other one was thinking he found Jimmy Hoffa's body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God bless Geraldo. What a great
God
guy.
bless
yeah.
Geraldo. Where would we be without him?
Could you imagine? I mean, I guess that was real. I guess I always thought they would have like peeked into the safe to or drilled
You
in
would
just to make
think.
sure. Yeah, they get Superman.
Well,
with
that's why
X-ray vision.
reality TV is the way it is, Mark.
Yeah.
Because you can't just expect shit to be there. They make sure that shit happens, right? I learned that about Pawn Stars a long time ago. It's like, some dude just doesn't show up with a fucking Action Comics #1 out of the blue. Right? It just doesn't, yeah.
Come to the front of the line right now.
Well, it's all pre-done. And I found that out also early on because Antiques Roadshow was one of the earlier ones that was real popular for PBS.
Don't tell
Yeah.
me that's fake.
It's not so much that it's fake, Six, but what they do, I found it because they were real popular around this area because they would come like within 2 areas that are within driving distance of where I'm from. So I know a lot of people who went there. But what you do is they have like this preliminary thing. You go in and you bring the shit that you want to bring, but they only pick out X amount of people that they think they might have on the show. Then out of those X amount of people that they think they might have on the show, their experts pick out X amount of people. And then that's all that makes the show.
Oh yeah,
it's-
because you can see the people lined up
Yeah.
behind, and I figured they're waiting their turn. To see
Yeah,
if
so
they
it
have
is
something
real, but they pick and choose.
They
Well,
filter
the other
it so they
part-
get the best stuff, right?
It's not just that the experts pick who they want to do because they see the items they have and they actually want to be experts of the items because they're talking about the
Right,
items. If
exactly.
they don't
And-
know what it is, they don't pick you, and you have to go to another.
Exactly, as opposed to like Pawn Stars, where they literally plant that shit in most cases. Like
Okay.
that like pretty much guy's an actor or they know somebody who's come in to the store at another time with that item, and they actually tell them, you know what, come back during the show. We're shooting at this point. And then that's how they go, let me call in my expert. That expert is literally waiting over in the fucking in his chair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
And then
that
they play
Civil
like
War
it's-
expert dude with the hat. And the
Exactly.
suspenders. He was on like every.
Yeah,
episode.
he's literally sitting over in a chair, and then they take a cut. They come back and act like it's 3 hours later.
He happens to be here.
Like, yeah, he's in driving
Or
distance.
sometimes they don't even fucking do that. You're right. He just happens to be here. Come here, Frank. Like, yeah.
It's like he has nothing else to do today other than wait for us to call.
Yeah.
Well, I've never watched Pawn
Yeah.
Stars, but I've seen Antiques Roadshow, and they always
Right.
seem to have a compelling story. you know, like this
Yeah.
beautiful, oh, my
Yeah.
grandmother had this on the mantle, and she would, you know, always touch it before she went to bed, and you know, this has this history, and this is how I came across this piece, and nobody's ever like, yeah, I don't know, it was in the attic.
See, and I think
It's
some
always
of
something
that also plays
like
into whether or
hard.
not you get on the show, because I think they do actually check out some of the history on some of these things, and that's where
Yeah.
script is right. Is that's where the experts come in? Is like they will know specifically about those items, or that's one of their expertise, so they can back it up or, you know, refute it or whatever. So yeah, as far as I know, Antiques Roadshow is quote unquote real, but it's filtered. I think that's the best way to put it, like Mark
Yeah.
said. To where Pawn Stars is pretty much, from my understanding, 9 times out of 10 is just flat out bullshit, and or they have somebody who came in at some other point and they tell you, yeah, come bring that in, or somebody that's set up to come in with something, right?
Yeah,
And that's
'cause
where it even
everyone
got
thinks that they're-
crazier.
Yeah, comic books are super valuable. Or Mike Clobber
Yeah.
times will tell this story, like someone thought they found a Superman #1, and of course he knew, and he's like, actually no, that's a reprint that was printed in like 1950 in a wreck, you know, like he knew instantly. He's like, oh, they take the cover off of that and it looks like the original, and the people thought they had, you know, like an action, you know, Superman #1. They were going crazy, and he's like, sorry to burst your bubble, but so can you imagine like the junk that people would bring in that they think is worth something, and it's totally useless, because you don't want to see that stuff. You want to see the
I'm
the
sure
cool stuff
that's
on
where
TV.
Antiques Roadshow is probably 60-70% that much shit. Where people, and then like what Six said, is like they're just, I found it at a fucking flea market. Like, you know, like, unless it's something really cool, they're probably like, yeah, we're not putting that guy on.
Yeah, because they want the audience to relate to the person. They want to
Absolutely.
evoke that emotion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I want to find
anyhow-
the Constitution behind the back of one of my paintings in my grandmother's attic. Come on.
or a Mona
Damn it,
Lisa.
Grandma.
I dug up my grandmother's grave, and this is what she was buried with. Can you tell me if it's valuable?
Here's her hand.
Well, my grandmother's house got robbed tragically, and she wrote like very valuable on all. They went to the World's Fair in Chicago for their honeymoon in the 30s or 20s, or and like she wrote like very valuable on all this. Like, don't throw it out. Like all the programs and stuff, and the bastards stole all the World's Fair memorabilia from my grandma. Like, and she was like, maybe I should have written very valuable on it, you know.
Should have been worthless. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Diego Flores says, that's a good idea, actually, before we get into the super chat. From now on, I'm not going to put my most valuable. I'll buy a safe and I'll put the most worthless shit in the safe and hide the more important shit elsewhere in the house.
Yeah, and like the guys probably then they got the box home, and they're like, "What's all this paper and pictures of the World's Fair? What, this is
Get
worthless."
classic hat boxes from like the
Yeah.
60s that nobody would ever care to look into unless you did happen to pass away.
Well, it's about as bad as stealing like movie props or some shit. Like the guy who stole the fucking ruby slippers, they just had to bring him back eventually because they're like, "What the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Who's gonna
Sell
buy
them.
them?" Like, it's unless you find somebody who's like in the black market, like that would buy like paintings and shit that would be into that. Who are you, and who's gonna be able to say, yeah, I got fucking Dorothy's ruby slippers, because they were fucking stolen. You can't fucking, you know.
What about Freddy's glove? The knife
That
wasn't
finally
stolen?
showed up. I actually told that story the other night, and maybe that's why you brought it up, Mark. I don't know if you heard it or not, but yeah, like, because it ended up missing during the making of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and it was such a big deal that they fucking closed down the set, and they were checking people as they were leaving the fucking lot and shit, like checking their cars, because the fucking because he only had one hero glove, and it went fucking missing on the set, and they're like, "Where's the fucking glove?" Well, it turns out that Rob Tappert got it from somebody. It seems like, and who Rob Tappert is? Well, he was one of the guys who worked on Evil Dead films with Sam Raimi. And that's the one that's hanging in Evil Dead 2 in the fucking tool shed. So that's what happened to it. And so at some point, somebody else wound up with it after that movie wrapped, and it wound up in a collector's collection somehow over the years. And this collector wasn't sure if he had a replica or a stunt glove or something from one of the films. He was thinking it was from one of the later films. He wasn't sure, but he knew enough about it to know that it was probably real, or, and the person to ask, and I can't remember the guy's name that designed the original glove. But for like a special, they got him together, and he took one look at it, and after just like a matter of seconds, he's like, "That's it." He's like, "That's the OG glove." And he's like, "You're sure?" He's like, I know it because I had to fix it right here, and this is only on the original, and this, and he lifted up the plate, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the original."
Wow.
He's like, "I don't know how
Well,
the
then
fuck
who
you
gets
wound
the
up with this, but yeah."
No, but then who gets to own it then, right? I mean, is
He
it
does, I
technically
guess,
stolen?
but
I mean, it's stolen, right? Could the studio claim it or the product?
but I don't know, because he bought it technically, I guess, as far as, I mean, it's probably so far removed that I don't know how the legality of that would work. But now that guy has now confirmed it. So he, I guess, could have it authorized that it is the original glove. And this guy actually owns like the largest Freddy collection, right? Like he has a ton of shit
great guy
from
to have
every one of the
it,
movies. In fact, I think he owns the hero glove from like 80% of the films. I think he's only missing like one or two of them. And the one he wasn't sure was about was that one that it was the first one, because that would have been the glove that was used in 1 and 2. See, that's the thing. And it only has certain things that the guy who designed it knew about. And he confirmed that this is the glove. So
the other part too is, like,
there.
every once in a while there is inventory mishaps, which means like you think someone stole it, but especially when you are shooting stuff in LA and you're going between studios like Warner Brothers to Paramount lot to Disney lot or back to Universal lot, a lot of props would be exchanged. And you'd have your general props that you have that you'd rent from like the major prop studio in downtown LA. And then you have the internal stuff. And sometimes they'd be packed together because someone is in a rush. And that's how you get a prop that's missing from one set because it's in a box that's going back to like a rental place. The rental place isn't going to say, hey, I got this hero prop or something. They're going to be like, I am holding on to this. And maybe I can get away with renting it to a couple of people that don't realize how important this is and put it onto another film and I'll still get it back. And then sometimes that gets stolen or misplaced from that rental. And then the rental guy, he'll not claim it because it's like, if he claims, he's like, well, then I was in possession of something I shouldn't have had. So I don't want that. So it just magically appears on this other set, whether it's an independent film or a studio film. And then it just travels across the country or across the world.
My speculation is that's what happened with the glove, is that Robert was lent it totally legitly. Like somebody from the prop department probably gave it to him and said, yeah, just have it back here by, Monday. And when the panic set in, I bet you whoever gave it to him said, you know what? Don't bring it back.
I'll lose my job.
I'll lose my fucking job if you bring it back. Yeah. So that's what I think. That's my honest opinion of what probably happened. And then through over the years, Robert probably either gave it to somebody or sold it to somebody. And it just made its way to this Mike Becker guy, as Jed so handily pointed out here. Thank you for
like
that.
I when I was doing a short little stint on the Hannibal series, we rented a bunch of furniture there. And when we returned the furniture, we realized, oh, we're missing a whole bunch of props. And some of it was drug paraphernalia, like fake drug paraphernalia.
Right.
And we're thinking, man, if someone opens like any one of those drawers and they find like a crack pipe or a spoon and a syringe, they're going to have a lot of questions that we aren't going to be able to answer if they know, to trace it back to us.
I have a funny story that's kind of related to that. Like when I was younger, we used to do videos, like we'd make movies like with a video camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one day there was this one cop in the town we used to call RoboCop that he just had a hard on for me and my buddy. And I just so happened to be walking out the door with a bag of fucking sugar that was supposed to stand in for cocaine the day he pulls up on my front of my door. And I'm sitting here going, and I'm dressed like a goddamn drug dealer.
I'm making a movie.
And I'm just going, of all the fucking days for you to roll up on here. Like, anyway, that's the quick version, but yeah.
Stuart Little, they found the painting in the background, the art.
That's true.
Saw it. Yeah, that was a prop, and it was just and then it ended up selling for like $300,000 years later.
Well, it turned out it
was
was
lost
the real
during
thing.
World War II. Yeah, lost during World War II. Yeah.
Well, and this, like they also had this situation on Once Upon a Time, The Hateful Eight, where they had that guitar, but they also had a prop one that was supposed to be broken. And Kurt Russell accidentally broke the real one, and that made a huge stink between the studio and the museum or whatever that lent them the guitar, which is understandable, right? Like, why was you more diligent with that? Yeah,
well, that Tarantino knew it was the real one, didn't tell Kurt Russell, which not cool,
right?
Yes, they won't lend out guitars anymore. They said that's it, no more.
Well, and I think a bigger too is a problem with, like, I think Tarantino had this rule about rolling where he doesn't interrupt scenes until certain points, and then
well, we could see the face of the actor. Who was the actress opposite him? She, like,
what's her face?
She's just like, oh my god, yeah, oh my god, like, because I think she knew it was.
She looks right at the camera. She goes, whoa, yeah,
yeah.
Because I wonder if there was a miscommunication and even Tarantino didn't know or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. But anyhow, we're gonna round out here. But I want to thank the mods, of course, for their work. as they always do, and help us out here before we get to Diego Flores' generous Peruvian sold super chat here for 20 Peruvian souls. Says, at least Cops was real, not like YouTube schlop of Mango County that people use as evidence of police corruption. They think police are like Mexican or Peruvian police. Well, and this is where I think the counter comes with a lot of the EWU and other videos that are just the real shit. And after watching these videos, as somebody who's never really been a big fan of the Cops growing up, I have a newfound respect for them, seeing a lot of the shit that they put up with and how patient they are with some of the folks. Now, is there bad cops? Abso-fucking-lutely. There's some shitty ones that I've seen them not know how to do their jobs or do their jobs very piss poorly. But the ratio is definitely more good cops trying to do good and putting up with so much bullshit on a daily basis is what I see. So I agree with you here that, yeah, the corruption isn't as widespread as Hollywood and other people would like you to think that it is when it comes to police officers. I think that, unfortunately, a lot of it comes from, a few bad apples ruining the whole thing.
Like news publications got to get those clicks, right?
Mm-hmm. But with that, I think we're going to wrap this up. So, Script, I know you do scripts on Saturdays. Do you want to plug that or anything else before we head out?
Yeah. We got a script on Saturdays this Saturday. Going off memory here, but it's a script about ancient pregnant woman who has to save her child from the wilderness and get back to, I think, her tribe. I read the first quarter of it. It's not bad, not horrible. We'll see if the shoe drops on Saturday, so be on the lookout for that.
Sounds good. Mark, you got Sundays and whatever else. What do you want to?
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a special edition because I'm going to New York Comic Con on Saturday, so I'll be there all day and hopefully try to do some. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I go there every year. Wear my shirt from Clobberin Times, the This Monster shirt that always gets a lot of great attention in a good way. And I don't know, this year with the FF movie out, we'll see. But we'll see how many Pedros we have cosplaying there. But yeah, and I'm looking forward to that. And we'll do a special show. I'll probably break it up. I won't do the first time I did that show at Clobberin Times. I think I did like a 6-hour New York Comic Con show. I'm like, we'll split it up into a few weeks. But
yeah, take lots of pictures.
Yeah, I'll get the camera rolling. So if anyone's in New York on Saturday, let me know. It'll be fun to meet up, but I'll be there. I couldn't get in. The panels all sold out really quickly. I wanted to go to see the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. panel. It's a bunch of the Star Trek panel, although I don't like Star Trek, but it's always just interesting to get the scoops on what's new Star Trek, I should say, and what's happening. But yeah, look for a lot of Comic-Con coverage coming up on my channel. So Sunday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Comic-Con time in New York. Yep.
All right, CC, anything to plug?
Nah, I was gonna get some food and then start on the second season of For All Mankind.
Oh, great show! I love that show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, 6.
I'm wondering why I skipped it for so many years.
Well, now you found it. And 6 actually did do a stream last night.
I did my very first live stream on my channel. It was a lot of fun. Like no structure whatsoever. I just invited on some people I've known on YouTube for years, and just kind of had a good time. And the reason I did it, I wanted to test because it's easier for me to not have to mute my mic when I'm typing. So I wanted to know, how does it sound when I'm typing, to know if I really need to mute or not, like when I'm on Midnight's Edge or something. And turns out it's a little loud. So I guess I will go back to muting. But that's why I started it. I was like, screw it, I'm just going to jump in and do it. But I had a really good time talking with some friends, and I really appreciated everybody who showed up.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's go subscribe to your channel. And then, if we get 6 at 10,000 subs, she can do a cleavage reveal instead of a face reveal.
How about 6,666?
Well, if it's just for cleavage, I don't think I need 10,000, but
that's what I said, 6,666.
Yeah, maybe 6,000. Yeah, but I do have I am going to do structured stuff because I want to talk about the shows that get left behind. I want to do a show called The Leftovers, so I'm going to be talking about the news items that kind of didn't get covered, and my barometer for that is going to be: did Midnight's Edge talk about it? If not, I might talk about it on my channel.
That's cool because you do a lot of research and other things for a lot of stories that we just usually don't even get to because of whatever reason. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And I
nice
love
that you'll be able to do
yeah,
that.
I like diving deep into stuff.
Cool.
And even though the title of your stream is Casual 6, don't watch this stream. Everyone go watch that stream.
You know,
Casual
I
6 is a
just
great
wanted
name.
to test. I thought if 2 people show up and can just tell me how annoying my keyboard is, that's really all that I wanted. But some, you know, it was just a panel full of cool people, a chat full of cool people, and I genuinely appreciated it. And I highly recommend anybody who's ever thought about going live on a channel, starting a channel, wanting to be a YouTuber, just do it. StreamYard's
Cool.
free. You can get a free version.
Cool. 6, they're asking where the link is, so if you want to share that in the chat,
Yeah,
that'd be
I will
helpful.
put that in the chat. Thank you.
So yes, thanks again to all the mods, and thank you to all the folks that supported the show today and any other day, and of course a big thank you to all the members for all the support you guys do here. Helps keep the lights on, literally. So we appreciate that. And with that, we're gonna say good night. Take care of yourselves and each other. Good.
Cute kitty.
Available now for the first time ever on DVD from Midnight's Edge After Dark Productions. It's My Two Dads, the complete first season starring Mexican Iron Man Tom Connors and Culture Casino. Available now for $19.99 while supplies last.